Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage your host, Anita Goyal.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and a very warm welcome to Who Cares, the first ever National Care Careers Conference for students in schools and colleges, organised by Hallmark Foundation and Working Options in Education. This is for you. My name is Anita Goyal. I'm a trustee with my husband Avnish Goyal of the Hallmark Foundation, and I'll be chairing today's conference. We're delighted to have hundreds of people in the auditorium here, some who have travelled a long way, all the way from Wolverhampton, I have one school, to be here in London today. And thousands are joining us across the country through live streaming. In fact, we have over 50 schools joining us, and that's probably over 1,000 students. Welcome to you all, wherever you are, and thanks for joining us. We have a great lineup of speakers and interactive performances, which I will introduce shortly. It's going to be a great day. So, why are we here? Well, over 25 years ago, Avnish and his brothers, Ram is here as well, one of his brothers. Where's Ram? Ram, can you stand up, please? Thank you, so everyone can see. Wow, thank you, Ram. And Avnish set up Hallmark Care Homes, and we now have 19 homes across England and Wales, and 3 under construction. At the same time, I was a science teacher. Firstly, 12 years at Sarah Burnell School in Newham. Some of you may know about the school. And secondly, 8 years at Bower Park Academy in Havering. There's a school. Thanks to the chair. And I firmly believe in empowering young people to be and do the best they can. That's why our foundations have been promoting positive mindsets through workshops in schools. And that's why today's event is encouraging you to think and plan ahead about working in care. We have worked with nearly 20,000 students across the UK. There are lots of opportunities available to you now, and those opportunities are only going to increase in the coming decades as care needs grow in the UK. To make today's event even more topical, this week is National Careers Week, as you may know, and tomorrow it's International Women's Day, which we will be celebrating through Hallmark and our foundations. Please use our social media and our hashtag, there we are. There's our hashtag, YouCanCare. You need to remember that for today. If there's nothing to remember, please remember that hashtag. Throughout today's event, and the best tweet will win a prize voucher of £100 at the end of this day, which has been kindly donated by Hallmark Care Homes. So if you've got a Twitter account or even an Instagram account, please ensure you start using that. I think the Wi-Fi is open, so you can definitely get onto your Wi-Fi and really help to promote this event. We hope that today you will leave feeling very positive that you can care and that there are opportunities for everyone in care, from frontline caring to nursing, IT to HR, marketing to finance, hospitality and catering to gardening. You name it, care needs you. And the people who draw on care services need you for one of the most important jobs in our society. Today's event would not have been possible without our sponsors. That's Advinia Care, Precious Homes, Regent Group, Sahara Care and the Hemorrhage Goyal Foundation. So I just want to thank you to all of them, and thanks to all of our exhibitors too. And I hope that you can visit the stands at lunchtime if you haven't already. Just some housekeeping. Fire exits. If there is a fire alarm, it's a real thing because there are no planned fire alarms today. You can exit from the building up through those stairs or through this way and up the stairs back through reception. And throughout the day, if anyone needs any assistance, please speak to Maria. Maria's just over here. She's a member of the Working Options team. The event is also being recorded, and there's also a videographer and a photographer filming today. So please let us know if you don't want to be filmed. There'll be roving mics for any questions to speakers, which can also be submitted via live streaming. So think about any question that you want to ask any of our panel of speakers today that you may not get an opportunity to do otherwise. And we'll do our very best to answer everyone's questions. So, without further ado, let me hand over to my husband, Avnish Goyal, who's the chair of Hallmark Care Homes and the Hallmark Foundation, to introduce our first special guest.
So our first guest is well known as a broadcaster, writer, and former politician. You may have seen him presenting Good Morning Britain. Who's seen him presenting Good Morning Britain? Well, there you go.
It's too early in the morning.
We're lucky that he's not doing it this week, so he can be here with us today. You may have seen his legendary performances on Strictly Come Dancing. Whoa. But today, Ed Boyles is here as broadcaster to talk about the time he spent working in a care home and as a home carer for the BBC series in 2021. And also, I had the good fortune of listening to some of this at the Care England conference last year. So I'm going to start off by a few questions about your experience, Ed, in terms of, and then you'll have a chance, by the way, to ask questions. So if you formulate some questions, and also online as well, if you've got some questions, we'll take those questions too.
On anything.
On anything, there you go.
Within reason.
So Ed, first of all, how did you get into doing the BBC programme? What kind of sparked that interest and, working in care?
Well, I had been in politics for 20 years, was a cabinet minister in charge of education and schools. I lost my seat in 2015. That's what happens in politics. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. I lost, and so I was out. And then I ended up, as you said, doing Strictly, which was a bit of a midlife crisis moment, but it was really fun. And then after that, I then did a programme for the BBC, and it was called Travels in Trumpland. It was all about what was happening to American politics, and I ended up doing lots of kind of immersive things. I did wrestling and was tasered and all sorts of stuff. Wow. And I was supposed to go back and do Return to Trumpland in 2020 for the BBC, for the American election. But of course, the pandemic meant that we couldn't travel, we couldn't get the visas and go and do that. And at the same time, all of the huge challenges were unfolding through 2020 into 2021 in the National Health Service, but also in social care, the huge challenges the sector was facing in dealing with this very, very difficult global event. And the BBC said that given you can't go and do Trumpland, what do you think about going to make a programme about the reality of social care, what it's really like, to show people the reality? And I thought about it, and it made sense, I think, for me for a couple of reasons. One, I had been in a government which had put quite a bit more money into social care, but we hadn't really reformed social care. We hadn't really sorted out many of the big structural issues. It was something we hadn't managed to do, and I think I knew that. And so and in a way, the pandemic was throwing up big issues which hadn't been resolved for decades. And then my mum has had dementia for 15 years, and she's been living in a care home for 4 years now. So I sort of thought, as a son, I thought I knew about social care, but then also, I'm middle-aged, and I've got teenage kids are now in their early 20s. They were teenage then. And we all know social care is going to change, and I thought I should go and understand that. So I said I would do this with the BBC, but I wanted to do it properly. I didn't want to sort of turn up and simply observe. And so we found a group of care homes in Scarborough, 2 care homes. One is a nursing home, and one is a dementia specialist home. They're called the St Cecilia's. And I did all of the online training you have to do to qualify to be able to start as as an entry care worker. So I spent it was a couple of days doing all the courses you have to do around movement and health and safety and food hygiene and basic medical stuff, and I got my certificates. And then I turned up and had some practical training, and then really over a fortnight, I worked every day in social care. And then over the course of the programme, we also go to see people who are providing social care in people's homes, domiciliary care, also look at people who are doing unpaid care. This was all focused on older care, so for people over 60, and of course half of care in our country is provided to people who are under 60. So we were only looking at half of the country, but that was the one which had hit the headlines because elderly people had been hit harder by the COVID pandemic. So I went in with the camera on my shoulder, with a cameraman who had to wear head-to-toe PPE, a white suit, because we were going into these care homes at a time during the pandemic when families were not allowed in. And we went in to do the job and to try and give people an insight into what care is, the challenges of running a care home, the challenges of working in a care home, and that's what the programme is about.
So thank you for that, Ed. And obviously we've got young people here today to learn about social care. So
you should watch the programme.
Yeah, absolutely. So how many of you watched the programme, by any chance? Well,
I'm sure you can get it on iPlayer.
Fair few.
You will now.
So, Ed, thank you for that. So what did you learn about care and the care system so that these young people can be inspired?
I think the really shocking thing for me was that I learned that I didn't really know what care actually was. And this was a bit of a shock for me, because I thought part of my reason for going in was because I knew about it. And as I said, my mum had carers for a number of years. She was full-time in a care home. Of course I knew about care. And what actually happened, I had said to the BBC, I didn't want to make this about my story and about our family. I was going to Scarborough. But a few times in the first week, I was FaceTiming my sister, I have a brother and a sister, to say that I've learnt things about how our mum is cared for, which I didn't understand before, I didn't know about. And I was telling her about these things, and the director actually heard me having one of the conversations and said, do you mind if we have that conversation in the film? And it ended up with me and my sister going to see my mum. It was the first time I'd seen her in person for a year. Because the care home was only allowed one visitor, and my dad was the visitor. So for the first time in a year, I went to see my mum. And there's this phrase called personal care. If you are a relative, you arrive to see, I could see my mum at 10 o'clock, and she's had her personal care in the home. And then when she arrives, she's in the seat, and we have a cup of coffee. These days, she doesn't really speak at all, but she did a few years ago. And I knew there was this thing called personal care, which was like done. And what I suddenly ended up doing on the first day of in the care home was I ended up doing personal care. Which, I did a whole series of things I'd never done in my life. We have 3 children. I've looked after babies. But we're talking here about people in their 70s, 80s, and 90s who I didn't know, but were going to trust me to do with them very personal things. And you see that in the film. On my first morning, there was a lady in her early 90s who needs to have cream applied to her skin to stop her skin drying. And Alison, who was my co-worker, Alison, very experienced, and said, Ed, do you mind applying the cream? And so I did. And what I learned was that, this is a really hard job. Because if you're looking after a baby, if you change a baby's nappy, baby's on the floor, in you get, do it. You do this to the baby. This was a 90-year-old woman who had, who's an adult and a person with views and agency. And it wasn't my job to do things to her. But of course, it needed to be done. And so what you realise is that the skill of the care worker is to find this very subtle balance between absolutely respecting the integrity and agency, the personhood of the person you're looking after, while at the same time doing the things which need to be done. So there were people who needed help with eating or drinking, but I was taught never ever be in a position where the person eats or drinks because you make them eat or drink. Your job is to get to the closest point and then provide the choice. And if the resident wants to drink, they'll drink. And if they don't want to drink, they won't drink. But they must choose. And understanding the subtlety of striking that balance, I had no idea. Every morning, care workers do this for my mum. And I didn't know. And I felt slightly ashamed of this. Of course, then I moved over into the dementia home. And there it's even more complicated because the same agency principle applies, but these are people for whom the communication is much more challenging. We in the film, we have a lovely guy with quite severe dementia whose reaction in the point of care is to be quite physical and quite destabilised, but the carer's jobs is to get the job done, but always asking his permission. And it was quite a physical experience that they went through. And I, if I'm honest with you, watched this and thought, this is much harder than most of the things I've ever done in my professional career. Two things then happened. First of all, I spent time in the dementia home with a lad called Cameron, who was 18, 19, was having his year off before going to university. He wanted to be a pandemic, but he thought he should get experience of care to understand it. And Cameron taught me over 3 days how to perform a series of very delicate, difficult tasks, which he did with overwhelming respect and integrity and subtlety. It was amazing. I was so impressed by this 18-year-old lad, the skills he had. What a career he has ahead of him, I thought. And then I spent a day with a guy in North Yorkshire who was an unpaid carer with his wife with severe dementia, and he does that on his own all day, every day, from 6 in the morning till 7 at night. And the stress and intensity of what he goes through. So I ended up I was a bit blown away, really, because, of course, there are things you train to do. You know, you train, if you want to become a nurse in a caring home, you need a nursing qualification. If you want to be a supervisor in a care home, often the supervisors start as ordinary care workers and move up, and they do college courses before or during the time. In both care homes I worked in, the managers who started as care home workers moved up into management, a whole wider range of financial and personnel skills, but fundamentally, what they all had was this ability to competently care and communicate and respect. And it was, it's so skillful. And I just came away thinking, I don't think our society understands, like me, what this job is. But it is really hard, really skillful. But when you talk to the people doing it, incredibly fulfilling. That's what I learned.
Ed, thank you for that. Anita's going to be asking the next question. But what I wanted to say is I can really resonate with that because for the last 8 years, Anita and I looked after my mum before she passed away in November last year. And so even though I've been in the care sector for nearly 26 years now, that first-hand experience of looking after mum, and to be fair, I didn't do a lot of that. Anita, along with the amazing carers that she had coming into our home, and then towards the end, she was in one of our care homes. What we learned, and I really resonate with that skill of just absolutely understanding what mum's needs were.
I don't think as a society we yet value that. What the care workers all said to me was, they said, we know when somebody starts within 24 hours if they'll make it or not. And it's not actually about their qualifications, although the qualifications are really important. Yeah. It's about, in the end, have they got it? And if you've got what it takes, it's a brilliant job, but given not everybody has, it's something you should value, and you should sort of really, it's like being a teacher. Not everybody can teach a class, but if you can teach a class, it's amazing. You should value it.
Mum knew within an hour whether she liked the carer or not.
Yeah.
She'd say she's a good one, or he's a good one.
The great thing about dementia is that every hour is a new hour, so you can. There's always a second go.
You get a second chance. Anita.
Thank you, Ed, for sharing your wonderful experiences with us this morning. But thinking about our audience that we have here today, would you say, is care a good career with a long-term future? Because you talk more about personal care and care, but when we talk about care, there's so many different aspects to it.
There are. So one of the, by the way, the most amazing things I saw, and I spent a whole day doing this, there was, in the care home I was in, the chef, she was absolutely brilliant. At a certain point, she went off a couple of years ago, so she thought, do I really want to do this job? She went off and worked in a pub, lasted 3 months. It was so boring, she came back to the care home. Everything was done with fresh ingredients, because if you buy anything pre-prepared, it's expensive. We did 30 fish and chips for lunch, the two of us. I made a cake for tea. She did everything herself, all with fresh ingredients. And I had this game with her. I could say to her, room 207. And she would say, diabetic, semi-pulped, doesn't like sandwiches for tea, prefers poached egg. She knew exactly what every resident wanted and their needs. And she could feed every resident in the care home for £3.50 a day. It was astonishing, the quality. But it was brilliant to see. So as you say, wide range of... The thing I'm just, because I know you need to move on to, don't want to hold you up. I think I would say the following things. One, we need to do better as a society to support the way we provide care and provide and support careers in care. So I don't think how things are today is good enough. I think there's too much risk on individual care home providers. It's very hard in a way that doesn't happen in the NHS. And I think that the problem we have at the moment is if you go into the National Health Service to be a paramedic, there is a national set of training and advancement and pay scales which you can move up, whether you're working in Scarborough or in Bristol, and we're not there yet, and we should get to that. So I think we could do more. It's not just about pay, it's also about progression and training. However, the second thing I would say is that whatever happens with technology, our society will need people to provide care in a way that we might not need to provide people to do lots of other jobs. And secondly, given the nature of our society, we're going to need a lot more people providing care in 5, 10, 15, 20 years' time than today. So this is a sector which is going to grow and where the demand for people to work is going to increase. And then I think the third thing which is going to happen, as more people spend more time in care and more people like me see their parents in care, we're going to become more demanding about quality and the nature of provision, the kind of things that staff can or can't do. So I think all the pressure is going to be to want to have people working in care who are paid more with more training to provide better care. So, if you said to me, being a GP or a nurse, how will that fundamentally be different in 20 years' time or 10 years' time compared to today? I don't think it's going to change very much. If you said to me, go and be a teacher, I think it's not going to change fundamentally, although we might end up using technology more. If you said to me what's going to happen with care, I think in 20 years' time, we will be paying a lot more people to do more jobs in care with higher esteem and more support and training, because this is a very difficult job which we don't yet support enough, but I think our society will. So I would say, look, if you're not sure and you're about to do your A-levels or whatever you're doing at 18 and you've got 6 months, do what Cameron did. Go and spend a bit of time working in care like I did and find out if it works for you. But if you're thinking, is this a career with prospects, I would say, compared to many other life choices in terms of career path, the only way is up. And we're going to need and value people who look after our youngest children and our older residents and people in the community with extra needs. We will value them increasingly over time. So I would say, go for it.
Great, thank you. And we're about to open up the floor for questions in a second. So if you want to ask a question, both if you're watching online or in the auditorium, please raise your hands and we'll get a microphone over to you. So hopefully we've got some questions. And whilst you're gaining the confidence to put your hand up, I just wanted to follow on with a few comments about that. In social care, we're going to need over 500,000 people in social care over the next few years because of the growing demand. So there's huge opportunities. And I just wanted to pick up on your point about the chef. We have incredible chefs in our own organisation, and they love it because the hours are much more sociable for them because they're not doing the late nights. And they get to really experience a whole array of their skills with people that they see regularly. So they love that connection they have rather than working in a restaurant. So it really does serve and suit people who've got certain positions at home and they prefer the hours. So
it's a real sense of community as well, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And the food in our homes now is incredible. So without further ado, do we have some questions?
We have some questions, yeah.
So we have a lady over there. If we can run to over there, and then whilst let's get another mic.
I think there was one more question just over there. The lady just at the back.
Yeah, I think we've got two mic
Young
runners.
lady at the back.
Yeah, if you put your hand up, if you want to ask a question, we'll get your mic, then we'll go. If you just want to say who you are and where you're from, and then ask
Good morning. I'm Charlotte Harding, and I'm with the Councillor Academy School, Wolverhampton. And we came down in our minibus this morning, didn't we? And we're very excited to be here. So thank you very much, and Ed, thank you very much for sharing your ideas with us as well. I sit in two camps. I'm a health and social care teacher, but I also work with our work experience as a whole umbrella term of personal development within our school. And what I'm seeing is, as I explore ideas like moving to the T levels, where there's a 45-day placement, and also trying to put work experience together for our students to go and visit workplaces, there is an absolute block on students being able to go into care homes or see any kind of social care firsthand. So all of that sector is blocked off to us at the moment. And I'm thinking about T levels, and I'm thinking, I don't know if I can go for that particular training style qualification, because where we are in Wolverhampton, we've got no way of getting students placements.
And is that a pandemic hangover, do you think? Is that
some of it is pandemic hangover, although we do our very best to make sure our students are not germy. But it's just difficult. I think it's partly training the care homes into what's expected of them. We've got a wider issue where if we're thinking about work experience, we've now got offices, we've got different sectors that say, well, actually, we're working from home, so there's nobody there for them to shadow. So I think my main question is, how do we create a link between schools to enable young people who are 14, 15, 16, 17 years old to actually go and get that experience? If you're saying, yes, go and do work experience, go and volunteer, we're basically saying, wait till you're 18 before you make any kind of choice. So it's how do we create that link between schools and care homes and social care generally so that we can say this is a viable option for you?
Okay.
This question best suited for.
I think.
are you going to answer that?
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm going to try.
I'm not sure that there's.
I don't think it's a question.
We have had in our own homes young people come to visit. I think Bow Park.
Rahina from
for
Bow
example.
Park.
So if we can get a microphone down here, so we.
I was just going to say we had the same problem, and then
Down here.
I approached Anita.
You have to wait for the microphone because they won't
Can we
be
get a
able to
microphone
hear
here
online.
for a second, and then.
I mean, the thing I would say, in my experience, because as I said, did the cabinet schools job for a while, is one, you have to minimise the bureaucracy and make sure that there's not barriers to it. But the second thing is you have to explain to employers that you aren't asking them to become teachers. It's not their job to teach a class. They're not. What you want them to do is allow people to have, to see, and at the margin where they can help. But it's not as though they have to sort of take on, teaching a class. Well, I think lots of employers just worry that they're being asked to take on a burden which is too big. Whereas actually, simply being there and being part of it is enough for experience to really see what's going on. Just to maybe even just to push the trolley and be with the person going round with the medicine is enough.
So, Rowena, do you want to just come in there? Because obviously.
Say, from Barrow Park, we had the same issues. We couldn't get our youngsters into any placements whatsoever, and then Anita kindly allowed us and supported us and allowed students to go in and experience a day shadowing and watching what was happening, and they learned so much from that a lot of them have gone into the care sector. And then the pandemic came along and we haven't got access to anything again, because now the age is an issue for a lot of people, you know, because COVID restrictions, and even though we're coming out of it, they're still saying we can't. So we do need to get students back in to the homes to be able to experience what my groups did, which was fantastic.
Marina, thank you for that. I'm going to ask Elizabeth, who's a People and Performance Director at Hallmark, to comment on that topic as well.
Hi, I think it is a challenging one for sure. You know, there are so many independent providers in the care sector. One of the things that I would say is easier said than done, I know, but building those relationships with operators that are local to where you are, and to have that partnership, because there's always so much going on in any one care home that it can almost be a bit daunting from the operator perspective as well. But I think if you have those relationships in place, it's absolutely win-win, because the team in care homes get an awful lot from sharing with young people as well and inspiring the next generation. And as a sector, I think we all know that that's where the answer is. It's inspiring, you know, the next generation of people that are going to be supporting the care sector.
That's right.
Great, thank you. We are running out of time, so I think there's... Can you make sure I can see the hands? There's somebody over here, there's a gentleman over there, and there's... Oh gosh, lots of hands are going up now, so we're going to have to see whether we can be really quick with the questions. Maybe let's ask all the questions in one go, as many as we can, and then we can then take the answers if we can. So...
Do you think an apprenticeship or a degree is the best way to get into the health and social sector?
Right, who'd like to answer that? Elizabeth, would you like to answer that? You've got that microphone still.
Quick fire, either. Think, you know, whatever you, wherever you want to be, I think both will provide a really great route. It's a really personal choice. And, you know, apprenticeships will be more suited to some and degrees to another. But it's about experiencing it and making the best decision that you can. But you will have great opportunities with either route into care.
I think too often schools still think, or parents still think, apprenticeships is what we used to have in shipbuilding.
Yeah.
Whereas actually, when you speak to people who've done apprenticeships on a much wider range of careers, everybody who's done them loves them, and they've earned while they've learned. And you know, there was, for some people who want a different kind of experience, they want to go away and study and live. But if you're the kind of person who wants to get on with work and learn at the same time, then and not go and have a immersed in university experience, I think apprenticeships are brilliant. I've met very many people who've done them to level 2, 3, 4, and would just say they say two things. One, it was brilliant, and two, often we weren't told this was possible for people like us when we were in school, and you know, it absolutely is.
So
Right.
if I can just add to that, if you're exploring apprenticeships, you can look up Connect to Care. I think they've got a stand here today, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Cool.
So Connect to Care, you can go and visit their stand at your lunchtime just to find out a bit more about. And Open University and Regent College London, they have the degrees as well, and H&Ds, H&Cs. So it's up to you which route you want to take,
Okay,
and be flexible.
I'm just conscious of time now, so who's raise your hands very...
Gentleman in the white shirt has been waiting a rather...
Has he got a microphone? No, who's got a microphone? Raise your hands. Yeah, okay. Gentleman at the front.
Thank you very much. I'm Dudley Sawyer. I work for People Care Services and also co-chair of the Race Equity Reference Group with Skills for Care. There is a famous saying, you can't be what you can't see. So how would you increase the visibility for the younger generation, for those in social care?
I think events like this, obviously what we've done in Hallmark, as you've seen, we're opening up our, and the pandemic has caused a bit of an issue where people are, and the COVID is still not over, as we know from some of our homes. So I think as the COVID situation starts to dissipate, we really do want to open up the homes again and encourage other care providers to do the same. And conferences like this will help really raise the profile of young people wanting to come into care, and other employers will also follow suit, I think.
But it is a bigger it's a bigger, like, structural problem that you get to. I mean, it's why care is hard, because, you know, if I said to you, what would it be like to be a primary school teacher? All of us have been taught in a primary school. We know what being a primary school teacher is. We experienced it. We all know what a GP is because we've all been to the GP. We've all seen a police officer. We've all seen somebody who's an ambulance driver. We've all seen what it's like to work in Sainsbury's. But very many of us could go through most of our lives, even all of our lives, without really knowing what it is to work in care and to see the inside of care. And even when, like me, I said, I thought I knew what it was, and I didn't really. So I think care is a career where you have to do more to explain to people what it's really all about than other careers. And I sort of think, as a society, we've done less. So actually, we should be trying harder to get people to go into care than we do to go and work in the NHS or policing. But how often do you see, you know, is there a national advertising campaign? Is it something the government has really prioritised in the way that we have done with teachers and policing? Not yet. So I think I think that needs to change as well.
Sure. Great.
Thank
I
you.
think we are running out of time. We're way behind.
Just one
more
if
question,
that's it,
unfortunately. Sorry.
Hello. I'm asking a question with my teacher hat on, and it's a question to care providers and also people who may have an influence in this government or the next one. You're probably picking up on some of the anxiety teachers have with the introduction of T-levels replacing BTECs. The T-level will be a qualification where students decide on a very, very narrow path at the age of 16. My question to care providers is, do you see the value of a broad-based health and social care level 3 qualification? And if so, how do we lobby together to make sure that option remains there for people at 16 so they can have a broad-based introduction to the career with a chance to progress to university or to paid employment in the sector? Maybe that can be answered on the stalls.
Yeah, let's not answer that right now, I think, it's going to run out of time. Yeah. Can we just get the microphone? Is it Mitt? Lady here, isn't it? Just very quickly, down here.
Well, while you're moving the microphone,
Yeah.
you've got Liz Kendall coming, who is the Shadow Care Minister. And so you can say to her, get it sorted out, and she can have a word with the Care Minister. And I would say that you need to have, for people who know they want to specialise, it's okay. But for other people who aren't sure, you shouldn't force them to say yes or no. So you ought to provide both tracks, would be my instinct. But anyway, see what Liz says.
I would just like to contribute to the conversation. I'm from CTK, and teachers have spoken about not being able to find care services. And we have got our T-levels currently working at the moment. And all of our students go to care homes on a block period, and then they have every single Wednesday they go to a hospital. So I think what is lacking in other schools is that we actually have a member of staff who is responsible to liaison with these care homes and with hospitals as well. So they are, in a sense, our middleman, because when you have the teachers trying to form these relationships while they're still teaching, while they're still gathering, because T-levels is very, very new, it can be an issue. And what I also would like to add is that students need to experience care. They really do. When our students have gone, they've understood their purpose and why they're important, because especially elderly parents just value their presence. They don't even have to do too much. Some of them want to go back because they can see what an impact just them being there. And it was really the time where our students developed the 6 C's. They developed compassions. They put somebody else before themselves. So when it comes to care, if we just talk about care as it is, you have to experience it. And you also have to experience it to know if you have the heart for it. I have one student who just says, "Miss, it's just too sad. I can't handle seeing people upset." While others are like, they would say, "Well, I made them feel better, and I can do this, and I can do that." So I do think definitely a suggestion is having a placement officer, liaison officer, and students really do need to go out and experience it.
Yep.
Thank you, that's a great idea. I think now would be a great time for, I'm sure Ed, you'll be around.
Can I say one other thing? Yes. Just answer that question and then I'll shut up. I think this goes to, all of these questions about placement go to the bigger challenge we have with care, which is it's so decentralised and it's so hard for individual care providers. I mean, Hallmark's unusual to have so many care homes. Most care homes in our country are businesses which have 1, 2, or maximum 3 care homes. And if you're small, taking on all the burden to try and work out the bureaucracy around placements or to have your own training pathways is just very hard. And consistent with the kind of care sector we have, I just think as a society we should do much better at providing more generalised support. So Care England or whoever, with the government and the industry, should work out a protocol which is how we all agree it's sensible to do placements, which is there. So if you are then an individual care provider at an individual school, we sort of worked out how to do it and you can see it written there. Whereas I think at the moment, if you're an individual care provider dealing with all the challenges you're facing, this is like another big burden. And similarly on training, consistent with the model we have, we should do better at providing established cross-country pathways for training, which are then going to give a framework which individual providers can work, as happens in the National Health Service, as happens in schools. So I think those are all policy things you should talk to the Minister and the Shadow Minister about. But I'm going to end on my final point, which is I think because this is so important and will get more important, government will have to sort this out and the industry will have to sort it out because we're going to need more people like you to be paid well and well qualified working in care. So it will be done.
Great, Ed, thank you for that.
Thank
and
you.
George from Care England, our head of policy, is here, so he's listening intently to your comments. So can I just say apologies for those who wanted to ask questions. There will be time later on. We are just way behind and my timekeeper here is giving me a big nudge to get on with the rest of the proceedings. Can I say on behalf of everyone, can I thank you, Ed, for giving us your time and your insights and your thoughts for us to plan next steps to recruit young people into the care workforce, as well as actions for government as well. So thank you so much for today.
Thank you.
Give
Thank
everyone
you.
a round of applause.
Thanks a lot.
We're going to be joined by Upfront Theatre Company, who run interactive PSHE workshops in secondary schools, but they have devised this workshop especially for today, along with Emily Carver from Hallmark Care Homes. And we're delighted that Upfront Theatre Company could be with us today. We have worked with the Upfront Theatre Company, where the Hemorrhage Goyal Foundation has funded UK school tours of In Harm's Way, a play exploring mental health, and their new play, Before Anyone Else, which discusses consent and sexual harassment. We look forward to seeing their new piece today.
Who are these people? Oh, are you here with my Colin? Have you seen my Colin? Purse, keys, bag, bus pass, yes. Oh, who are you? What are you doing here? Have you seen Colin? Oh, you're no good, are you? Waste of bloody space you are. Purse, keys, bag, bus pass, yes. Oh, look at you, all dressed up like a dinner party. Have you got somewhere to go? Nah, thought not. You're no good either, are you? Wonder where my Colin has got to. I don't know what's going on here. Bus pass, bag, keys, yes. Have you seen my Colin? Where's my Colin? Oh, look. That's my lot, that is. That's my lot. 16 grandchildren, 8 great-grandchildren.
Oh, there you are, Mrs. Shriver.
Mrs. Shriver? Mrs. Shriver, never heard of her.
It's time to come up here now, Mrs. Shriver.
No nonsense, never heard of her.
Come on up here now, Mrs. Shriver.
I'm not going up there. It's rubbish up there. I'm going up there with you. I don't like the look of you.
Oh, charming. We're all waiting for you, Mrs. Shriver. Come on.
Have you seen my Colin?
Colin's dead, Mrs. Shriver. He died 5 years ago. Come on, come up here now. You're wasting everyone's time.
No, not a chance. I'm off. Bus pass, key bag. Yes. Handbag. Yes. Everything.
You're not going anywhere, you silly woman. Come up here now. You're wasting everyone's time. Come on. Come on.
Right, okay. And I'm going to stop it there. Good morning, everyone. We are Upfront Theatre Company. My name is Jack, and you've been watching our two wonderful professional actors here, so please have a big round of applause for Kate, playing our carer, and Carrie, who's playing our patient. So we're going to be running a short interactive workshop exploring what makes a good carer. Now, this workshop works best when you all get involved, so you will have the opportunity to share your opinions and ask our characters questions as well. And we're going to be asking you questions. Now, there are no wrong answers, there's just right ones and slightly misguided ones, so feel free to get involved. So, why use actors to talk about being a good carer? Well, actors can take on characters and put them in scenarios, and that's how this workshop works. We're going to be creating some characters and putting them into situations, and then invite you to advise and control what happens to some of our characters. So, you've briefly met them, so let's get to know them a little better. So, Kate, you're playing our carer. Please, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So my name's Kate, and I've just started working in care.
And why did you choose care as a career?
My careers advisor suggested it. I'm not super academic, but I was always really practical, and I looked after my nan a lot in the months before she passed away.
Okay, lovely. And how about you, Carrie? You're playing Doreen Shriver, is that correct?
Yes, but I prefer to be called Nanny Skanks. Oh, don't ask why. It was a family joke that's gone wrong, and now the laugh's on them, isn't it?
Okay, sure. And you're a resident at the care home, are you?
My first day.
Okay, so based on our short interaction that we saw with Nanny Skanks, does anyone have any idea what condition she might have that would mean she needs to be in a care home? Hands up, please. You're going to have to do some talking now. Ed Balls has left. Anyone? Anyone? Oh, he's not. He's here. Thank you, sir. Would you like to answer the question? This is what happens when I go off script. It goes horribly wrong. So, who's... Oh, there's a hand at the back. Yes. There's a hand here. Hello. Thank you. Dementia, yes, absolutely. Well done, that's correct. So that's right, she's living with dementia. And why might someone living with dementia need to be in care? Any ideas? Yes, my friend? If it takes you, I can repeat it back, if that helps, for time. I like this. It's like a baton relay, lovely. Fantastic. Yeah, memory loss is a big factor. You can also lose the ability to perform basic care functions like washing, dressing, using the bathroom, things like medication, and problems with managing behaviour and emotions as well. So, really good suggestion. Thank you very much. Now, I'm going to draw your attention to the screen for a moment where we can see Nanny Skanks' profile. This will have been created by the care home, and all care staff will have access to this when they're working with her. So let's see. So that's not there. Don't worry about that. I have it in front of me, so I'm going to read it. Fabulous, thank you. Right, there we go. So Nanny Skanks grew up and lived her whole life in East Grinstead. She married Colin, and they were together for 60 years until his death in 2018. They had 4 children and 16 grandchildren and 8 great-grandchildren. So Christmas would have been slightly busy, I imagine. Now, Nanny was a stay-at-home mum and looked after all of her grandchildren while their parents were at work. One of her grandkids called her Nanny Skanks, and the name sort of just stuck, and now everybody who knows her calls her this, much to her family's amusement. Now, Nanny has always loved trees and plants and had a big orchard in her family home. She taught all of her children and grandchildren about plants and their healing properties. She has an aversion to flowers, though, and says they are fussy and of no use. Now, Nanny only drinks coffee black with 2 sugars. She says tea is for matrons and weak, lily-livered men, probably why I like it so much. Her daughter says her hatred of tea comes from a particularly harsh house mistress Nanny lived with at a boarding school just after the war. The house mistress would make all the girls drink weak tea for breakfast, lunch and dinner. Nanny loves her grandchildren more than anyone else in this earth. She's fiercely independent and has lived alone for the last 5 years until earlier this year when she had a nasty fall and was admitted to hospital. Nanny's living with dementia, and this is her first day in the care home. So, let's say that Nanny Skanks has spent her first night and now this is her first morning. Kate, you're on duty and you need to go through all of the residents' morning checks and breakfast. So, let's see what happens.
Morning, Mrs. Shriver. Have we cheered up this morning then? Not going to give me a hard time today?
Where's Colin? Where's my Colin? What is this place? Well, it's not much to look at, is it?
Colin's dead, Mrs. Shriver.
Oh, I don't like you. You're horrible, you are. Plus.
Charming. You need to get up and wash your face, Mrs. Shriver.
Lily, Harry, Jake, Marjorie, Lucy.
Mrs. Shriver, you need to get up and wash your face.
Harry, Jake,
You need to get up and wash your face now, Mrs. Shriver.
Wash your face, you dirty cow.
Oh, charming.
Where's my Colin? What have you done with my Colin?
Colin's not here. Colin's dead, Mrs. Shriver. Now, we've got you a nice cup of tea. Now, what would you like for breakfast?
Pass. Purse, keys, bag.
Yes. You're not going anywhere, Mrs. Shriver, unless you want to go to breakfast. Do you want to have it here or in the canteen?
Oh, cold tea, breakfast, lunch and tea, lily-livered men, matrons, weak. 2 sugars.
I'm getting fed up now. You can either have your breakfast here or in the canteen, but you need to decide now.
Oh, I don't like you. You're a horrible piece of work. Where is my Colin?
Freeze. Right, freeze it there. Okay, obvious question, but was that a positive conversation? No, it wasn't, absolutely. Were they communicating effectively? No, absolutely. So, however, it is more complicated because Nanny Skanks' dementia may mean she's lost her ability to communicate. Dementia can impact people's understanding, judgment, and mood as well. They may have trouble managing behaviour also. However, there are a few things that Kate could have done better to make the interaction smoother. What do we think? Any suggestions? Let's maybe start how she entered the room. Anyone notice what she did? She just barged in. She's going into her personal space. What should she do instead, baby? Knock? Yeah, knocking. That's a good start. As was brought up earlier, it's really important for people to have as much agency and autonomy as possible. So, yeah, absolutely, knocking's a very important one. What else did Kate not do brilliantly? She wasn't calling her preferred name, which is Nanny Skanks. She kept calling her Miss Shriver. Anything else? Yeah, asking for permission, things that were touched upon earlier, brilliantly. Absolutely, giving someone the option of things, not just coming in and sweeping through and just changing things. Any other suggestions?
Her tone.
Pardon? She could have been politer, absolutely. I think you were taking things a little bit personally, wasn't she? I suppose she, as much as you were trying to do your job, I don't think you completely had a professional head on. You were letting it get to you slightly. Okay, brilliant suggestions there. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to hand over control to you, and we're going to replay that scene, and I'm going to pause it at certain moments and invite your suggestions as to what Kate could do differently in that moment. Okay, before we start, based on Nanny Skanks' profile, is there anything we could do to improve the room? She hates flowers, don't we all? No, they're lovely, beautiful things. Yeah, she hates flowers. So, luckily, here's one I made earlier. I thought I'd get a bigger reaction, don't worry about it. There you go. Plonk that on the table. Here's for you, madam. Here you go.
It's upside down. I know.
I never give you anything. Okay, so we've set the room slightly better. Let's maybe see this interaction from the start, and we'll pause it at certain moments whenever you're ready.
Who is it?
It's only me, Mrs. Shriver. Is it all right if I open the curtains?
Where's Colin? Where's my Colin?
Just
What
open them a
is
little
this
bit.
place? It's not much to look at, is it?
Colin's not here, Mrs. Shriver. Colin's not here, Mrs. Shriver.
Where is it? Mrs. Shriver, Mrs. Shriver.
Okay, I'm gonna pause it there for a second. Kate did something brilliant. What did she change from what she did that time to what she did earlier? Anyone notice? She not absolutely. When Nanny Skanks asked about Colin, did anyone notice something she did differently? So yeah, before she said Colin's dead, which is probably not the most helpful. It could be potentially distressing would be distressing for Nanny Skanks. So she changed it. What did you say instead?
I said Colin's not here.
Colin's not here right
but
now.
I'm open to suggestions as to how that could be better.
Yeah, was that what do we think? Was that appropriate? Do we think is that a good thing to? I think it's definitely an improvement. Yeah, okay, happy with that? Happy to move on? Fantastic. Right, carrying on, please.
Now, Nanny Skanks, you need to get up and wash your face.
Oh, bus pass, keys. Oh, yes. Anthony, Terry, Darkus, and
Are they your grandchildren, Nanny?
Yes, Anthony, Darkus.
Oh, he looks like you, that one.
Elizabeth, Darkus. I don't know.
Now, Nanny,
Yes.
do you want to wash your face now, or do you want to wash your face after breakfast?
Oh, bus pass, keys, handbag.
What do you think, now or after breakfast?
Cold tea.
No, we've got you coffee, I read it on your notes. And I also heard you like sausages, is that right?
Yeah. 2 sugars.
2 sugars, what?
Sausages.
Not together though, that probably wouldn't be very good.
No, sausages and 2 sugars.
Yeah.
But where's Colin? Where's my Colin?
Colin's not here at the moment. He'll be back in a little while, but he's not going to be back right now. So for now, do you want to have your breakfast here, or do you want to have it in the canteen?
Purse, keys.
I'm going to pause it there again. I'm going to pause it there. A few more things changed. Any observations about how Kate improved her performance?
She called her preferred name.
Pardon me?
She called her preferred name.
Yep, absolutely. She changed how she was addressing her. A few other things she was doing as well. She was giving her more options, wasn't she? Yeah, absolutely. Choice. She was giving her choice. She was giving her agency. Yes, absolutely. We've got another suggestion, do we, at the back? Asking permission, absolutely.
He was interacting. Well, she was interacting with the pictures when she was talking about her grandson.
Yeah, really nice. You can tell that, like, Nanny Skanks, because of her condition, she can become slightly confused at points. And giving her something to zero in on, talking about her grandchildren and her children, yeah, and it really helped to move the conversation along in a very positive way. It feels like we're moving in a really good direction here. How did that feel for you, Kate, as a carer? How did things change?
The second time was much better because the first time, I've just done a whole night shift and this is like the last bit before a handover. So I am really tired and I know that can sometimes affect my mood and how I am with patients, and I know that it shouldn't, but sometimes when you've had a really difficult night, it just gets to you a bit. So sure. I was taking everything much more personally because I'm not very good when someone's rude to me. I'm not very good at just taking it. So, but I know that it's the dementia, it's not the person. I just changed little things, but even the little things that I changed, I was able to help her and communicate with her loads better, and it seemed to it was really rewarding. So yeah, it was a lot better.
Fantastic. It's easier said than done, isn't it? But it's as much like every interaction you have, trying to leave the baggage of the shift or whatever it is, what's going on in your personal life, and really starting afresh. And that's clearly a difficult thing to do, but I thought you did that really well. And it was a lot more positive. Nanny Skanks, how was that for you?
It was a bit better because she was actually listening to me, but she kept asking me to make a decision. And I don't like making decisions. So I go back to my bag then and my photos. But at least, you know, she wanted to talk about it, but I wanted to tell her more about
Yeah,
it.
I'm
Really
sure you do. And we can, when we finish, me and you will have a great chat about them pictures, I promise. But just for the sake of moving things along. But that was, and though it was, so that you've only just started, so she's getting into your rhythms, you know, but it was definitely more positive than it was, than it was before. But yeah, definitely things to be improved on. These are obviously very complicated situations. And it's not something we're going to be able to solve in 20 minutes. But just seeing those few little steps and changes and adjustments, you can see how an interaction can go from something that's quite hostile and quite negative into the beginning of potentially something that could bloom into like a lovely relationship for however long Nanny Skanks is there. So I'd like you to please give another round of applause for our fantastic actors. These workshops are only as good as your suggestions. This has been a small taste of it today, but we've had some fantastic suggestions. So give yourselves a big round of applause. And on behalf of myself, Jack, Rosie, and great Carrie and Kate, we want to say have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you so much. Thank you. Goodbye.
Now we're going to move on to hear from somebody also very inspirational, Deborah Sturdy, who is Chief Nurse for Adult Social Care. Deborah Sturdy, OBE, I should say, Chief Nurse for Adult Social Care at the Department for Health and Social Care, who will tell us about the opportunities working in care and how government is developing the care workforce. Deborah, welcome so much to the stage. Thank you.
It's really good to be here. This is my second speech of the day, so I hope I haven't kind of exhausted my voice on the last one. I was speaking to people in Bolton from London. So I'm really pleased to be here, and it's great to see young people, because you are the future of social care. You are the future of our country. So to be able to talk to you about a bit about my career and how I got here. I've been nursing for 43 years now. You're all supposed to shout out, you don't look old enough. So you failed the first test. But I've been doing this and been very driven and passionate throughout my career. I'd always wanted to be a nurse from the age of, ever since I can remember. And the reason that I got into nursing older people, which has been my clinical specialty, and people with dementia. So Nanny Skanks is a very familiar character and has kind of followed me throughout my career, is because I just felt, as a student nurse, the experience I had, I always wanted to be that nurse. When I went onto my second clinical placement, I was so appalled at the way that older people were being treated in this particular unit I was working on. I went to my tutor and said, I think I've made a mistake. And he said, you've got two options here. You can stay and do something about it or leave. I thought, I'm going to stay and do something about that. So I was kind of hooked at the tender age of 18 about working with older people. And it was because of this kind of degrading way that people were treated. And this is back in the early 80s, so a long, long time ago. But it was my kind of drive then throughout those 3 years of training in Bristol. And I worked for a bit after I qualified there, and then off and did a specialist course in older people's nursing in Oxford and spent 2 years there. And then at the age of 24, which is incredibly young, it probably feels very old to you, but it is very young. I was a ward sister on an older people's unit and worked with a professor there that was very inspirational. And together we ended up running a unit for people living with dementia who had all sorts of acute health problems as well. Excuse me. So my career path was set. There's some water. My career path was set, and off I went, and gradually kind of built my career up, taking another senior post and another senior post, but very much driven by the fact I wanted to make a difference, and that was my kind of passion about nursing is how do you make it better for more people. And I decided then, kind of around the age of 30, to go off and do a master's degree full-time. And I funded myself through university by doing agency nursing. So I did lots of shifts, working at night duty in care homes at the weekend. So university in the week, and then we often worked at the weekends in care homes. And it was absolutely there that I got completely hooked on social care, because what I saw was some not great care, but some absolutely fantastic care by people who were often seen as second-class citizens in terms of nursing. It wasn't the kind of career route you should take. But I saw brilliant care, brilliant people, and really got hooked on it. So at the end of my university bit, got my master's, I went off and spent 3 years as a research nurse, working around the whole issue about social care, looking at assessment in particular. And that was part of an international collaborative. At the end of that, I went to work in the community and again ended up working in a joint post, so working in social care and with the NHS as well. And was very, very inspired by the people I met during that period of my career. And then had this fantastic opportunity offered to me. I went to work as the nurse advisor for older people at the Department of Health, and I spent 10 years there working on developing national policy. Excuse me. Sorry. Just getting over a cold as well. So again, I think what it illustrates is the variety you can have in a career in social care. So, you know, I came up through that nursing route, but there is so much that you can diversify in. And after that, I purely went and walked into the world of social care full-time for the last part of my career in a variety of guises, working in a big care home provider with people, sort of supporting people living with dementia. I worked in a number of other settings as well. And my last clinical post, which was 2 years ago, I was the Director of Care at the Royal Hospital at Chelsea, so looking after veterans, so 300 older veterans there. And in that service we had all sorts of things. We had, you know, supporting people in living kind of fairly independently to a care home on site, a GP practice and everything in between. So again, really great to be empowering people to kind of live their best lives. And I think that's the thing about working in social care that's so important. It's about enabling and helping people to live their best lives. And that kind of inspiration that you get from working with other people to make that real difference to people day in, day out. And I think for me, and again, the Nanny Skanks kind of recognising so much in that fantastic short kind of play, really, was that the thing I loved about working with people with dementia is that what I did today might not work tomorrow. So you're constantly challenged. You know, your approach today might need to have a bit different nuance, a slight different approach tomorrow. So again, that kind of being able to be adaptable and flexible and creative. And I can honestly say, in my hand on my heart, the best bits of my career have been in social care, because I've laughed and laughed and laughed. I've worked with fantastic people, and as a team, you know, you're working with people that you're trying to develop and you're trying to lead, and you'll want to make, you know, because you're all working together to make a difference, and real difference to people's lives. But it's great fun. It's enormous fun because you have flexibility and that kind of opportunity for creativity in what you do. So what we're doing, there's so many opportunities in social care. I think people often see it as just care homes, but in fact, it's much, much more than that. It's not only looking after older people, it's looking after younger people, people with learning disability. Again, you know, some of the great things I get to do in this job is I go out on lots of visits to services. So again, meet people doing fantastic things within learning disability services as well. And it's not just going in as a nurse or a carer, which are, you know, two obvious routes, but there are so many other opportunities, like, you know, developing quality pathways, being a quality manager, catering opportunities, being a maintenance person, being administrator, being the kind of a kind of lead on contracts, that those managerial jobs. So it's not just clinical. There's a variety of things. And the many, many people that I've met over my career, when I meet people who started off as a care worker or as a laundry assistant, who are now the manager, or in some cases the CEO, the chief exec of a group of care homes, these are opportunities that are much, much bigger than just that direct care role. And I think the one thing that we're not good at in social care is actually going out and flying that flag and telling people that there is this plethora of opportunity, and there's many pathways that you can follow. The other thing that I think is fantastic about social care, and it was just had 2 seconds talking to Ed Balls then, is that the government, we're investing in that kind of knowing that we need to develop people. So as you can come in as an entry level with no qualifications, but your pathways to develop into being a nurse associate or a registered nurse or an apprenticeship scheme or an apprenticeship scheme to be a social worker. One of my team, my last job, when we got her on a pathway and she's just about to finish. So there are so many things that we can do, and the government currently are investing more in that. We see that we need people coming in at that entry level with really fundamental qualifications, a care certificate. And for some of the people that we see, older people we see in care, working in care now, for some of them it's the first time they've ever academically achieved something. So, it's given people life chances and new opportunities. And recently, back last summer, I was up in Cumbria visiting a service there, and I spoke to 2 young people. One was a young woman who had been homeschooled from the age of 14 because she'd been bullied and just had lost her confidence completely. And her grandmother was in this care home. The fantastic care home manager kind of got to know over a time and brought her in to do some sort of voluntary work, supervised voluntary work. And she's now going on a pathway. She's got a job there. She's on a pathway which will lead her to be a registered nurse. And for that individual, that young woman, I don't think that would have happened perhaps elsewhere, because her confidence slowly built up in an environment that's not only supportive of the people we look after, but the people that actually work with us and alongside us. And I think it's those kind of stories that, for me, really illustrate the nurturing and the opportunity in social care, perhaps at a slightly different pace. It's not in that frenetic hospital. I've done that stuff, and I wouldn't choose to go back to it. So I think that we underestimate those real opportunities for young people coming into care who just might need a different kind of support to achieve and attain. So I really, I think we need to be doing more on that. And I was also saying about the other thing for me is that how do we kind of galvanise and create that workforce for the future, which is something that I worry about a lot. And I think we need to tell our stories better, but I think we also, need to be thinking about how we're going to invest in that future workforce. So how do we look at our current students are going through not just nursing programs, but paramedic programs, and people going through medical school. How do we get them to have an experience of social care so it makes it better for the future when we all work together? They need to, those doctors in A&E need to understand what it's like living in a care home. So I think we're on a pathway to make that happen. And I was having a conversation about that yesterday with people who fund such things. So really important that we absolutely invest in that future. And I think the other thing is that opportunity to train and learn together. So I think, not university is not for everybody. I did my master's much later in my career. And, so it just gives people a different and a steadier path through. So I think, what makes it attractive, it's a job that's inside most of the time. I know you do get out and do fun things. You're working in a team. It's active. I think that people do recognise the contribution of people. So listening to everybody's voice is important in the conversation, be that the cleaner, be that the chief executive, be that anybody else in between. So if you get good leadership, I think that will take us a long way through giving people that opportunity and really bedding it in. So I put the Adult Social Care website up there, because you can get lots of information in there about careers and career opportunities in social care. And I think one of the things that we're starting to see now is that kind of that movement from seeing social care as something that, I'm not sure that's really what I want to go and work in the NHS. I think people are seeing it as a more attractive option. The other thing I think that we underestimate, that we don't play enough or put enough stall on really, is that community, care homes, domiciliary care services, people living with learning disability are living in homes, at the end of the road where I live. So it's kind of within our communities, and I think we need to do more about exploring and promoting. Actually, you can work in your community, and communities are really important. And I think those placements, I think for young people, and not just young people in mainstream education, but people with special educational needs as well, to come into our services and us to support them and provide opportunity. And I think we're kind of getting to that point where we just need to invest in that, because as I say, as I started, you are actually the future. As I edge towards the end of my career, it's people like you who are going to be looking after me. So I want to make sure that the people like you are as well trained and educated and have the requisite skills and that passion and drive for our future, or for my future actually. Be totally selfish about it. So the government's got a 10-year plan at the moment. It's about personalisation agenda. It's about how we give really personalised care to people. One size doesn't fit all. What I want to be different from what you want. All the nuances and the differences between everybody that we look after. Actually recognising that and being adaptable and flexible. And that means the workforce we need needs to be adaptable and flexible with it. And I think that, I think for your generation, I think your kind of, the way that you will work will be very different. And I can see that starting to happen now, that people in their 20s want flexibility, they want more part-time working, they want portfolio, they want to do a bit of care, and they want to do a bit of something else. So I think services are going to have to adapt to what your aspirations are as much as what's needed alongside that. So I think we've got to do some more thinking about that, and it's certainly at the forefront of my thinking, is that what we've always done can't be about the future, because you're not going to do what the kind of, you're not going to behave and you're not going to work in the way that probably I was doing 40 years ago, which when the world was very different, when I wouldn't have dared go off duty until the ward sister had dismissed me, or the charges had dismissed me and told me I could go home. I don't think we would see that today. Everybody would be saying, well, it's 4:30 and I'm off. That's not just true of everybody, but it's different. Your expectations are different, and we need to be thinking about that. I think some of the things that we're doing around, it's about recognition of our workforce. I think it's really important to celebrate people. So how we actually ensure that we're recognising people, that we're promoting this, and it's just fantastic. Anita and Avnish today pushing this event on, actually seeing young people who've actually come to listen to what the possibilities are, is a fantastic start. And I think that the kind of opportunity around social media now to be sharing this event and what we're doing is really, really important. And I think, it's a bit about just watching that sort of synopsis there of what care's like, that intergeneration work. So that young and old bit is really important. And even way back when, in the olden days, when I was in the sixth form, we were doing that kind of social interaction with local older people within the kind of school area that I was in. So it is really important that we understand that generation. And I think we could also be doing that for people with learning disability as well. So I think that, there's a lot of innovation going on. Again, your generation around technology, the opportunities for growing that, moving that whole agenda on care in the next 10 years' time is going to look very different from the way it is today. And when I think back to the way it was, we've moved so far, but we've got a long way to go. So I think that we are on a journey about kind of creating that knowledge and skills framework, a national framework where we have people from novice right through to expert and everything along the way. I think that investment then around that entry level and getting people on those pathways about apprenticeships in all sorts of roles, not just clinical ones, gives a real opportunity. And I think that I see as a massive shift, I think, in political thinking about realising that social care is absolutely fundamental to making a success of the NHS. And we need people who are going to be driven and passionate, because you can't come into social care unless you're driven and passionate to make a difference. So I hope that today you will go away and reflect and just think about the opportunities that will be there for you in the future and your friends and actually just be inspired to come and not only make the difference, but be the difference that we need to see. Thank you.
Our next session is about the future. Younger team members from Hallmark will talk about their roles and how they got into care. But first, we have Liz Kendall, who is the MP for Leicester West since 2010, who has been the Shadow Minister for Care since 2020. So before becoming an MP, Liz had a distinguished career in charities and think tanks. Please welcome Liz Kendall to the stage.
Thank you. It's really great to be here. There is nothing better and more important than building the future, and that is what you will all do in whatever you decide in your lives. You are our future. And I just want to say why I think that working in social care, to my mind, is one of the most important jobs in our country, and we won't be able to get it right without you. It's important because at its best, care is about helping all older and disabled people live the life they choose in the place they call home, with the people they love, doing the things that matter to them most. In other words, to live a full and fulfilling life. And if you think of your parents, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, your friends, helping them achieve the life they want to live, whatever circumstances they find, what could be more important than that? And I know that if my parents ever need care and support, I'll think that the people working in that sector are the most important people to me. Secondly, as you'll hear this afternoon, it is such a fulfilling career. Whenever I have work-shadowed people working here, I could see their faces glow with what they're doing and the support that they're providing and the fulfillment it gives them. The third thing I will say to you is I believe this is a really exciting sector for a career in future. It is not just about helping people get up, washed, dressed and fed, or helping people get better after a sickness, helping to rehabilitate them. It's not just about being a personal assistant who is there to help a working-age adult with disabilities live the life they choose. There's all sorts of other areas. You can work as a care manager, managing teams or organisations. You can work in IT, in data, in AI, which has actually got huge potential to transform care, in estates management, gardening, so many opportunities. It really is there for the taking. And finally, whilst nothing in life is ever guaranteed and there's never a job for life, let me tell you, the demand for care will only grow and grow and grow. When our NHS was created, average life expectancy was around 60. Now it's 83, and 1 in 4 babies born today is set to live to 100. So the demand is there, the opportunities are there, the importance is there, and for you, a fulfilling career lies ahead. So I hope you'll consider it. I can't wait to hear from your panellists about their careers, and I'm just so glad you're here today. Anything I can do to help or support you or answer any questions, it would be 100% my total pleasure.
Now, I'd like to welcome from Hallmark Care Homes some amazing, amazing individuals who contribute every day to making their residents have an amazing life, and also they equally have very inspiring careers as well in the sector too. So I will start first of all by asking, actually, let's start with Chelsea first of all. Chelsea, can you tell us about your role and exactly how you got into care, please? And please do use the mic and make sure they're close enough. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So I'm Chelsea, the Deputy Manager at Hutton View Care Home. I've been there since it opened in September 2020. Is that right? Yeah, my tin's nodding. I started care when I was 18 years old. I studied level 3 health and social care at college, and I wanted to be a midwife. I thought I wanted to be a midwife, but they didn't accept my offer. So I was very disheartened and wasn't sure what path to go down, and I got a job in a care home as a care assistant. And then 7 years on, I'm proud to say that I'm the deputy manager at Hutton View for Hallmark. So yeah,
Wow.
it's been a journey.
That's amazing. Chelsea, before I ask anybody else, but can you just share me some of the highlights of your career working at Hutton View?
Oh, there's so many, Anita. I think every day is a highlight for me, if I'm honest, working at Hutton View. Seeing the residents' faces every day, making a difference, working with the team that I do, having all of these inspiring individuals around me. Every day is a highlight, and I'm very lucky to be working for Hallmark.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Chelsea, for sharing your journey there. I hope that's inspired some of you, the way in which things don't always turn out in life as you expect it to. I remember I wanted to be a dentist, or maybe my mum wanted me to be a dentist more. I didn't get the grades, so I did biomedical engineering instead at university. And then I still didn't want to go into research, and I became a science teacher because I had a passion for science. So things don't always turn out how you plan them to, but when they do, wow, life is amazing if you embrace all the opportunities that you have that come your way and, you know, really grow your mindset in that way. And later on, Jermaine will be explaining or will be sharing how you can really grow your mindset in a positive way. Thank you for that, Chelsea. And next, can I ask Courtney, same for you, Courtney, how did you end up working all the way in Wells in Greenhill Manor?
Well, I started working in a career in care when I was 17 years of age. I worked as a domiciliary carer out in the community, working with young children and adults. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Something happened, circumstances changed. I moved back to Merthyr, started my career then in Hallmark in Greenhill Manor Care Home, and now I am currently a nursing assistant. I'm a manual handling trainer, a fire safety trainer, and I'm also a student nurse as well, studying with the Open University, which is obviously with Hallmark's help. So yeah, that's where I am.
That's incredible. What an interesting journey you've had. And you're with Open University. Tell us more about that, with the nursing that you're doing.
We had the opportunity to go for an interview with Hallmark's help. And we got shortlisted, 4 of us, and now I'm studying with the Open University to become a nurse.
That's brilliant. And I hope, thank you.
Thank you.
And I hope that you've had a chance to go to the stand, the exhibitor, Open University. Tracy's here. Where's Tracy? One of our colleagues there. And there's some amazing courses that you can study, as well as Regent College London, who are also got an exhibition stand too. Oh, thank you for that, Courtney. Can I ask Charlie next what your experience has been like? Because I remember just talking to you, Charlie, and you shared about how you didn't even complete school. And I was, wow, Charlie, you're a manager of Anisha Grange Care Home in Billericay, which Rahina Bower Park School have visited, I think, on about 5 or 6 occasions. So tell us more about your journey from leaving school and coming into social care.
Yeah, sure. So I'd always wanted to be a nurse. And I left school when I was 15 and didn't get any qualifications. And I was living in a flat on my own in East London, working full-time in a fast food restaurant. And I'd got to about 18 and thought, I don't want to live like this anymore. I need to do something worthwhile, which is when I got a job in a care home, working with children with learning disabilities. And I did that for about a year. And the care company paid for me to do my NVQ, which gave me the points that I needed to get into university. So then at 19 I went to university and trained to become a nurse, and that was 10 years ago. I then spent the first 6 years of my career working in A&E, and then moved over to Hallmark from the NHS 5 years ago, and I've just progressed and now I'm a general manager.
Oh, that's an awesome journey. Thank you, Charlie, for sharing that. I admire your honesty around that, you know, leaving school and not having any GCSEs at the time and just training. You've really found your way, and you know, I wish you all the success in managing and continuing to grow and develop within Hallmark. Thank you for sharing that, Charlie. And Sarah, how did your journey start?
Well, I work in Greenhill Manor, and I done a college course from the age of 16 to 18, which was Health and Social Level 3. And then at the age of 18, I applied to Greenhill, got the job, and I've been there for 15 years.
15 years.
I'm now a senior carer. And I've also done my level 5 in health and social through Hallmark as well. And hopefully, as my career progresses, I might be able to also do the nursing that Courtney's also doing as well. So I might also have that opportunity.
I love it, Courtney. I love the way that, Sarah, so I love the way you're looking forward to the future and you can see yourself going down the nursing route as well to really develop yourself. And 15 years
15
with
years
Hallmark.
in June,
That's something to celebrate, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good. Thank you very much for that, Sarah. So I think it gives us a great opportunity now to open the floor, to ask any questions to any of our inspiring young leaders, and also towards Liz, if there's any questions for Liz. Please do raise your hands, and mics are roving, so if we can get some questions, that would be really great. Ask anything you want. That's what they're here for, to be open and honest with you, to really inspire you. We have a question just over here. It's young, that's a young woman with the white top. Thank you. What's your name, first of all? And what school are you from, or what college are you from?
My name's Esther, and I'm from CTK Emmanuel. What qualifications did you guys get in? As in, like, what level in college did you get?
Who's this question for?
It's for the deputy manager of the care home.
So that's for Chelsea?
Yeah.
So I studied level 3 in college, health and social care, and I had 5 GCSEs, A to C. That's all the qualifications I have, and I'm currently studying my level 5 at Hallmark.
All right.
Thank you.
Does that help? Yeah? Great, thank you. Any more questions? Question there. Any questions for Liz?
Don't be shy.
Come on, leaders in health and social care. Oh, question just over here. Is there a mic on that side, on the right side? So if you give your name, your organisation, and the question.
My name is Dudley Sawyer. I spoke earlier. I'm from People Care Services, but I also support various campaigns within social care. It's very interesting with a sort of careers day for social care. Can I ask the 4 individuals where they hope to go in social care and what their ambitions are?
It's really hard for me to answer because I wanted to be a general manager and that's what I'm doing. So for the moment, I'd say that I'm quite happy where I am. So yeah, that's me.
I think for me, my next steps are definitely general manager. That would be a big challenge for me, but one that I'm looking forward to. As far as way ahead in the future, I'm not quite sure, but definitely would like to progress within the company and see how far I can go.
For me, I'd say I'm looking forward to finishing my nursing degree and then becoming a qualified nurse and staying with Hallmark then, and maybe considering if there's any other different pathways then on the peripatetic team maybe. It opens up different avenues, so maybe that's for me.
That's great.
My next step would be to perhaps go into my nursing and stay within Hallmark because they do offer some great opportunities and I do enjoy working in Greenhill, so yeah, I think I'd definitely become a nurse.
It's great PR for Hallmark Care Homes. And yes, a question there. We've got 2 questions there. One just with the gentleman there and with the lovely lady just over here. Thank you.
Hi, Finn Turner-Berry from the National Care Forum. I wondered for the panel, what are the key values you think every person thinking about a career in social care has to have? What are the key things you want to see in terms of values?
It's a great question. Who'd like to answer that?
I think for me, people just need to be kind and honest. And I think if you're kind and honest, that's where you need to start, really.
Oh, thank you. Any more values?
I'll incorporate the Hallmark values. So within Hallmark, there is a set of values, and I believe that all individuals should have these values if they want to work in care homes. And they're growth, openness, togetherness, integrity, no, individuality and quality. That's how I believe that they should all be incorporated in a person. So.
That's good.
And courageous as well, because sometimes the job isn't easy.
Oh, thank you for your honesty there, Chelsea. Courageous, I love that. And we had one more question just over here. If we could take the mics here. And one with Charlotte.
Can I ask a question, or do you want her to go first?
Sorry,
yeah,
okay, if you can start, yeah,
Sure.
and then we'll pass it on to this
Sure,
young
thank
lady.
you. My name is Mohammed Damji. I'm from an organisation called Caring Crew. We're a domiciliary care provider. I'm really excited to see all the young people here, and hopefully all of you get involved in social care. It's a fun place to be in. Question for Liz. From a government perspective, how do you think the future looks for social care, and how can the Labour government add value for young people in social care?
Thanks. Personally, I think that we need to make social care as important as the NHS. We need to rethink it, because I think the last decade has been very dominated by issues about reforming social care, about the cap on care costs, whereas actually I think we need to start with what's our vision for the future, what type of help and support, not what do I want, but to the people who use services and their families want. Because in my view, you can't get good quality care unless the people who use services and their families help you design the system for the future. That's what I think. You know, if I think especially about this with something like dementia, when you lose your memory, your family is your memory. So they know what you like to eat, what you like to do, the music you like, the activities. So you can't give that person the support unless you really work equally with those families. So I think we've got to start with the users and the providers of services. We need to redesign it. And we need to say, look, currently we have 165,000 vacancies in social care. There's 133,000 vacancies in the NHS. Together, that's the population of Newcastle. We've got to stop that. We've got to make this, put this where it is, which is one of the most important and best careers of the future. And that's what I'd like to see a future Labour government deliver.
Well, thank you, Liz, for that. I think we have a few more questions there. Hopefully Liz will be able to answer some of those questions. But this young lady here, thank you. And then Charlotte Harding.
Yeah, this is also for Liz. I'm actually stealing the question from the gentleman at the back. He asked a question before and it wasn't able to be answered, and they said that when you come on that you might be able to answer it.
Was that Ed Ball saying that?
Yeah,
I bet it was.
So I'm a health and social care teacher. My background's also in sociology and psychology. And obviously teaching health and social care has been a very interesting experience as a young teacher. Might not look that young, but as a young teacher, I've come to realise that particularly in schools, social care and health care industries, if it's not anything to do with like being a doctor, being a nurse, or no, not a nurse, being a doctor, being a dentist, it's quite looked down upon. Even deciding to come here for my students was a bit of a fight, because they heard care conference and they were just like, so what, are we preparing children to go and become care assistants? That was the mentality. And it's quite devastating for me as a teacher, because obviously I know what it's like to teach on the A-level, I know what it's like to teach on a BTEC, which is what my students are doing, and knowing that a lot of the things that you're mentioning here are very much courses that in schools are very much frowned upon. And if you are going to encourage students to go into care, I think there's got to be a lot of kind of dispelling of how care is looked at, not only as a school, but also as a curriculum. Do you know what I mean? So there's two questions I wanted to ask. So although I'm hearing now there's much more focus on specialising when it comes to care, so the T-levels, for example, and the BTECs are now in kind of conjunction to each other. Teaching on the BTEC has been very good because it exposes my students to an array of different courses that they can do beyond sixth form and beyond secondary school. But with the T-levels, it seems like it's trying to kind of streamline students into a particular form of career, which I think is also going to be very devastating. But I wanted to know, what are your thoughts about that now? Is there going to be much a change in regards to hearing from teachers about how they're teaching BTECs and how T-levels might not be the best solution if you're going to really try and push the agenda for care? So yeah, that's my question.
Good question.
So you've obviously, you've obviously touched a nerve there with everybody else in the audience. We have to prepare young people for the future as it is, not as we would want it to be. And that means giving people a range of skills, because you will move into different jobs. Even if you choose the care sector, you will move around into different aspects of it. You don't want people narrowing too quickly, is my view. And that's the approach we need to take. I also think, I know you are a slightly older age group here. I've got a real bugbear about starting careers advice in primary schools. And the best thing I've ever seen was in my own constituency at Parks Primary, where we had an aspiration day, where people with lots of different careers came in and talked about what they did. The teachers didn't try to do it because they didn't know. They got the people in who had actually, and we had a frontline carer, we had a nurse, we had someone who ran their own business, we had an engineer. Right from, and we had a vet who was teaching the kids in foundation year with their little cuddly toys, opening their eyes and minds, because if they didn't know anyone who did the job, they'd never be able to do it. So I think we need to rethink careers advice and start young. And as far as skills go, you want a breadth of skills so that you can then be flexible in your career. And you want to know that there are opportunities. Nobody wants to be in the same thing, not nobody. Most people don't want to be in the same thing forever. So getting too narrow, too early, I think, in my view, is a mistake.
Well, thank you.
Just to add to that, is there any way that you can speak to, I don't know who you could speak to, but just at least relay this, because this is a big concept. Like, I'm a teacher, I'm thinking about 2024 stopping teaching. And that's purely because I do think the reason why I like teaching on the BTEC and the reason why I like teaching the courses I taught was that I was exposing students to a variety.
Yes.
And I feel like the T-levels, hearing what that's going to look like has already made me question whether, because it becomes, because when you start streamlining it, then you have to become a bit more of an expert, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm not an expert in adult nursing. I'm not an expert. I've not been an ad. And I think the T-levels is trying to push that, and if that's what they're pushing.
Well, look, I will take this back to our shadow education team to make sure that they know directly from what you've said what your concerns are and feed in your views. That's part of my job. So I'll do that after today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Sorry, I didn't get your name again.
Priscilla Williams.
Priscilla Williams. Thank you for sharing that, because you may be driving change here. Just by having that thought, keeping it to yourself wouldn't have made a difference, but because you've now shared it, you could be contributing to something really big. So thank you. It's really important for you to share, I think, when you get a chance to, because that's where change starts to happen and we can start transforming minds at that point. Right, are there any more questions? Charlotte, and I think, let's do Charlotte next, please. Thank you. And there's one more just up there.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for sharing your stories with us. I'm finding it really inspiring, and as a teacher that is with this lot, it's good to hear your stories. My question is going to change the focus a little bit back to operational and day-to-day. So Sarah, I'd like to ask you a question, please. Just a typical day, what time do you start? What time do you finish? How do you fit in things like training? How do you fit in your further academic study as well? So if you could just outline for my students what a typical day might be, what time you're expected to start, and how you fit in everything that will then help you to move on to your next step.
Well, typically on a work day, my day starts at 7, so it's a 12-hour shift. So I'll stay till 7, They do have like shorter shifts. They could work 7-3. But if we got training, any training opportunities, as long as they cover us on the floor, we're able to go off on shift, and we can train on, you know, on the job, so to speak. So that as long as we covered, but I just try and squash it in where you can. You just got to, if you want to do it and you're motivated, you'll find the time and you'll just try and progress as best you can.
Thank you for that. I think it's just one last question now. There was somebody from the audience just over there, and then we'll move on to the next part of this afternoon. I will be announcing the winner from the Twitter, the best tweet, very soon. £100 is the prize. They got it all? Oh, and also, if there are any questions from live stream as well, I'm not sure if Susanna's been able to send me some questions. Oh, you've got questions, live stream. Okay, your question, thank you.
Hi, so I'm Tim from Chimera. I'm the biochemist outside with the microscope and experiment. Guys, you've all shared your path into care and progressing through care. I'm wondering for everyone here, well, the students at least, what's been the weirdest path into care that you've heard about from any of your colleagues?
Weirdest path. I can probably share one if that's okay. When I met Emily on our Hallmark, what was it, Avnish we went to? 25-year bus tour. And Emily used to be a drama teacher. So she left teaching to become lifestyles lead in Brighton at Maycroft Manor Care Home. And she was amazing. It was a celebration, and it was afternoon tea, and they picked us up. She joined us on the bus as Alice in Wonderland's lead role, and I just was blown away by her acting. It was incredible. But she actually changed her career from teaching, for many, many years in teaching as a drama teacher, to now lead, and she absolutely loves it. In fact, Emily is still here, right? Early on. So Emily was part of the Upmont Theatre Company. She helped to design that play. So I thought that was really strange, how someone came out of teaching and went as a lifestyle lead. So for me, that was a really encouraging story. And I think I've almost done the same. Left teaching after 20 years of science teaching in schools, and and kind of entered social care and charity sector. So I think nowadays people change sectors, not necessarily stay in the same trade. Like if you leave teaching, you can go into something else. And I think we'll be seeing more and more of that with our future generation and our next generation. And I don't think we should have fear in doing that. I think it's exciting to change sectors. That's why I'm merging education from my teaching experience with social care through charity, because they're the three sectors that I've been exposed to and have worked in. So that's made my life really fulfilling. So if that helps anyone, and I just want to keep joining them together. Thank you. Right, Liz, I have a question for you.
If this is another Ed Ball's plant,
No.
I'll have a word with him tomorrow.
I think it's, thank you very much, firstly, for joining us and sharing your wisdom with us. But do you have any additional advice for our young people and our next generation of students thinking about working in social care?
I think that the knowledge, the skills that you get by dealing with people who are often, including their families, can be at difficult times. That the skills that you would get by working with people, their families, at often quite a difficult time, if you can do that and work in this busy, important sector, you could probably work in any sector. I mean, as a member of Parliament, the ability to deal with people is so important and actually often quite rare. I want that in my team, because the relationships with people are so important. I think that is what one of the most important things you get in this sector. And the other thing I would just say is I'm desperate to have one of these events in Leicester, because there are so many young people for whom this would be a great opportunity for the future. And I want my kids, I call them my kids, to have these chances too. So I'm going to be back with a request.
Oh,
but I've learnt a lot. It's so great to meet you. And I just hope you all consider this as an opportunity for the future, because it really is a great opportunity.
Great, thank you very much. That's brilliant. So, we are moving on to our next session, which is led by Jermaine Harris. He's the UK's fastest growing inspirational speaker, and I know some of the schools have had the honour of experiencing his personal development workshops. I know Cardsa Academy in Wolverhampton and also Bower Park Academy as well have had the pleasure of his workshop as well. And Jermaine does regular workshops, as I said, in schools to promote positive mindsets, to enable young people to do and be what they want. These workshops are, of course, funded by the Hemorrhage Goyal Foundation. They are free to your school or college. Please get in touch with us if you would like Jermaine to also come into your school. You can find out more on our website. But let's not wait any further. Let's give a huge, huge welcome to Jermaine Harris.
Thank you. You can have your money later. Alrighty. Don't look so scared. I know she said I was going to make you move, but we'll get to that, okay? I'm going to start with 2 easy questions. How many of you guys like having a good time? High as you can. Okay, wow, okay. Okay, good, I'm in the right room. And how many of you would love to live a life where you had a positive impact on other people? Fantastic. Wow. Well, my name is Jermaine Harris. I am the UK's fastest growing inspirational speaker and firewalk instructor. That's right, I get people to walk across 1,000-degree hot coals. But I'm also, yes, really, but I'm also the #1 empowerment and team building trainer within this amazing care sector. Now, the title of this presentation, and really the theme of this whole day, is You Can Care. So it's all well and good for us to tell you that. But what I would love for you to do with the people next to you, I want you to really give yourself a pat on the back and talk about your own personal attributes, your characteristics. Talk about your attributes and characteristics that mean you can care. Please begin, guys. Is that my time, is it? Okay, guys, please pause there, please pause there. Give your partner a high five, say you can care. Yeah, good job. Good job. Now, thank you, guys. Now, I haven't got time today to tell the whole story about how I made some terrible decisions when I was around your age, and then I turned it all around. If you want to hear those stories, speak to your teachers and book us in to give the talks in your school. See that, Anita? Plug it in, all right? Now, but the real reason why today I've been so excited speaking with Avnish, Anita, Stephen, and the team is because when I realized I loved sharing positive ideas, when I realized I loved opening up people's mindsets, there was one sector that I was really enjoying doing it in the most. And the reason for that was this gentleman. That was my Grampy Steve. He lived with dementia in one of Hallmark's homes in Cardiff. He lived to the age of 93. Now, thank you. And I really related to actually the small play that we observed. And when the care team, when they talk about things that are really poignant, it was almost as if the dementia would melt away. So my grandfather used to remember everything about Barbados, okay, everything about his childhood, everything what he did growing up, all the little rhymes, Barbados, the most easterly of the West Indies, 95 miles east of St. Vincent. He would just say it over and over again. He would have a great time with it. So I thought that play was really beautiful to highlight that. And I also had a very inspiring thought sat there as well, because we found out that I'm genetically predisposed to live with dementia later in life. And then I thought, my goodness me, it's rooms like these amazing young people here that if the time comes where I need to be cared for within a home, it's going to be amazing people like you. So I want to say on behalf of people like me, thank you in advance. Give yourself a round of applause. Thank you. But the real reason why I got really excited about today is because I observed with the amazing team members, amazing people just like you, the difference that can be made. And what happened was that if it wasn't for amazing people that made the decision, like many of you will, to work in care, then my grandfather wouldn't have anywhere safe and viable to live and people to care for him, which would mean my father was still chasing around looking for my grandfather, lost and confused with dementia, and he wouldn't be there. My father wouldn't be there to be a grandfather to my children. We wouldn't have the relationship that we have now because we wouldn't be able to spend time together. So although, yes, you're going to have amazing positive impacts on the residents, there's going to be amazing ripples of positivity that you guys are going to create as well. Now, there's two things. I've got two intentions for our short conversation today. Number one is to close the gap on those questions that Nye asked. So when Nye said how many of you were studying some sort of course to do with health and social care, many, many hands went up. And when he asked how many of you are certain that you're going to have a career in social care, there was only one or two. So I designed this presentation in two ways. Number one is I'm going to share with you some of the empowered, positive fun that care team members have. And the second part is that I'm actually going to put you guys through some mindset training that I share with the care teams. How many of you are up for that? Yes. Okay, just the 7 of you. Okay, one more time. How many of you are up for that? Yes. Yeah. Well, we love a woo, right? So that's my daughter, Vienna. Now, a big part of the amazing mentality I've noticed with amazing care team members is they've got this beautiful ability to enjoy themselves whilst overcoming challenges. The amazing people, inspiring young people on the stage just then touched on the fact that yes, it's challenging, but it's also fulfilling. And when part of my study, bless you, I've studied psychology for 18 years. I've got a degree, a master's degree accredited by the British Psychological Association, and I've studied thousands of happy and successful people. And it kept coming back to this mentality. How many of you have got younger brothers and sisters? Okay, good. How many of you have ever seen a child? Okay, that's all of us. That's okay, that's all of us. Now, in the pandemic, my time usually is spent on stages, conference rooms, care homes. Of course, that wasn't possible. So I was at home with my lovely daughter, which was one blessing in the challenging time. And what was amazing was I got to be there as she learned to walk. Now, those of you with younger brothers and sisters, is this how a toddler normally goes through life? Is this how they went through life when they were toddlers? Oh, learn to walk, can't be bothered. Oh, God, no. Oh, I don't think I'll say that. They might judge me. Is that how toddlers normally go through life? So wonder, like, what happens if I jump off here? Run round here? What does that do? Is that my bag? Here we go. Right? They're more like that. Yes or yes? Yes. Now, as we move through life, and I get this, right? I was your age quite a while ago now, but I do remember it. We go through life, and perhaps we got this urge to be a little bit cool. Let me just sit here and see what this guy has to say. Just be there. I'm not going to put myself out there too much. You know, I've got my friends. I'm cool. I get that, right? And the challenges of life as well can shrink this version of us. My invitation to you today is, in our short time together, I want you to tap into that inner toddler. And what that's going to involve is, when Vienna was learning to walk, did she go from crawling to walking nice and easy straight away? No. What did she do? She fell down. And then as her father, did I go, don't even bother, you're obviously not good enough. Is that what I did? What did I do? Encourage. Thank you. Fantastic. You can do it. One more step. Come to daddy. Come to dad. One more step. You can do it. Now, what's amazing is, of all the sectors I've been lucky enough to work in, the care sector is the sector where your team members treat you in the same way that I treat my daughter. We come together and we believe you can do it, because that's the only way that we can thrive and create amazing environments for people within their homes. So how many of you are up for tapping in to this toddler mentality today? How many say yes? Yes. Yeah, okay, just 16, okay. How many of you are up for tapping into the toddler mentality? Say yes. Yes. Fantastic. Now, I do get that part of your brain that's thinking, what am I signing myself up for? Okay, but I will come to that. Because there's one process that I do now. This is the start of your training, okay? Now, part of my job, in my view, is to share with you, at the ages you are now, that when you put yourself out there, when you go for it, there's rewards, okay? So there's going to be a few things that I ask you to do in a moment that I'm going to have my eyes open. I'm going to be looking at every single one of you. And the person that I see really going for it, really pushing themselves, really getting outside their comfort zone, there's going to be a prize, okay? All right. So, because part of my job, thank you guys, I can say to your brain, thank you, I can say to your brain, or your brain will realize, do you know what? When I put myself out there, when I go for it, good things happen. So bear that in mind. Now, the first part of this process is a process that I share to ensure that our minds are switched on with great energy and to make sure we're aware of the great things that life can offer. Now, the science has proven this now. How many of you have noticed that you feel even just slightly better when you feel grateful for something or someone in your life? How many of you noticed that? Wow, okay, fantastic, most of us. So with the people next to you, of course, there's no right or wrong answers. Roof over the head, food in the fridge, parents, friends, whatever it is. Just with the people next to you, share all the things that you're grateful for. Please begin, guys. Okay, guys, please pause there. Please pause there. Give your partner a high five. Say thank you. Good job. Now watch. You can feel. I can see it, but you can feel it, right? You notice what happens. Something changes within the feeling within the room. You know, I don't need the lights because everyone was smiling, right? It was absolutely beautiful, right? And there's all sorts of things going on. Oh yeah, my dog. I forgot about my dog. Do you want to see my dog? Yes. Right, so we just think about these things that we're grateful for, and it changes our mind and body. And this is part of the training that we do within the care homes. Now, the second thing that I do comes from some time that I spent with one of the world's #1 neuropsychiatrists, which is just a fancy way of saying that he knows loads about the human mind, why we do what we do, how we can feel better and do better as we improve our mind. Now, this gentleman, he works with Champions League football players. He works with Fortune 500 companies like Facebook and Google. He works with Hollywood movie stars. To be personally coached by him is $10,000 per hour. Okay? I was not paying that, my friends. I was in a room like this one, a little bit smaller than this one, and I was taking notes. So I was learning from him. And I thought, whatever this guy says, I'm going to take back with me to the care sector. Whatever this guy says, I'm going to take back with me to the young people that we support. So I'm waiting with my pen and paper, waiting for the cleverest thoughts I've ever heard. Neuropsychological insights. And he said, no one has ever felt down. No one has ever felt depressed. No one has ever felt sad whilst they were shaking their ass. $10,000? It turns out Hollywood movie stars, Champions League football players, Fortune 500 companies, session 1, task 1, shake the ass. Yeah. Now, it's led me to be a bit psychic, right? I can hear the voice inside your heads right now. Some of you are thinking, oh, yeah, that's funny, yeah. Oh, yeah. But there's no dancing going on in this room. No way. No. Now, my job today, guys, my job when we train the mind, my job is to push you. Thank you, guys. Shh. 2 seconds. Let me explain. My job is to push you Because when we can train the mind, because you might have a voice in your head right now that's going, no way, I can't do that. When in reality, we know that you can. When we do the session for young people through the foundation, sometimes we have rooms full of people from the age of 5 all the way up to the age of 18. Now, which age do you think are the ones that get up and shake their booties straight away? What age? The 5-year-olds. Interesting. No. Now, some of you may love dancing. Fantastic. Others of you wouldn't dance in a million years. Also fantastic, right? I've studied psychology for so long, it's beautiful that we've all got different personality types. However, my job today is not for you to like me, okay? Statistically, 20% of you already don't like me, all right? And I'm cool with that. My intention is to open up that part of your mind that great things can happen when you push yourself. And remember, I've got my eyes open. There is a reward. Now, there are 2 types of people, and I want you to imagine, right? I want you to imagine these 2 types of people. Now, one of these 2 people is going to be responsible in the future for caring for your most precious loved one in a care home. Mum, dad, grandmother, grandfather, auntie, uncle, whoever it is for you. Think of that most precious person and think of the people you'd love around them caring for them. So, that could be the person, when at a conference like this, gets asked to stand up, stands up like this. This is person A. Oh, God, can't be bothered with this nonsense. Oh, my God, Jesus, no way. Oh, what's the point in... That person could be responsible for caring for your most precious loved one. Or, person B, when asked to stand up, stands up like this. Yes! Maybe not quite person B, okay? But if we look at it as a continuum, you'd prefer someone with a level of happiness and enthusiasm to be caring for your most precious loved one. Is that true or true? Yeah, true. Fantastic. Now, also, I touched on it. We've all got different personality types, right? Some of you are a little bit more introverted, okay? Others of you, you're going to be able to give me a big yes. Everything is beautiful. My invitation today, the prize is available. The prize is available for who I see push themselves, okay? So, let's see if we can get it right first time. Right? I'm like your psychological personal trainer. Now, here's what I see a lot of. In a moment, it's okay, guys, it's okay. In a moment, I'll say, as close to person B as your personality type will allow, please stand up. And here's what I see a lot of. Yes. And then what do I have to do? Do it again. So let's see if we can just get it right. I've got a funny feeling. we can get it. Some of you are clearing the space. I like it. That's good work. So then, some of you are taking your jackets off, okay? Okay, here we go, guys. Here we go. Now, shh, not yet. And be careful of the people next to you. Here we go. Shh. As close to person B as your personality type will allow. Please stand up. Yeah! Good job. Stay standing. Stay standing. Good job. Now. Yeah, okay, I see you. Okay, so, now of course, that's just part 1. Now, this is where we find out. So some music may start. If you had never danced in a million years, just see. Shh, wait there. And if you go for it and push yourself, I'm going to be coming round, having a look. I'll put the £10 in you. I want you to go for it in 3, 2, 1, go. Where's the music? That one. Here we go. I'm looking. Let's have a look. Come on. I see you. Oh, I see you. I see you. Oh, I see it. I'm not sure. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Okay. Oh, I see you. Okay. I'm not sure. Sing it. Come on. Oh, I see you. Keep it going. Oh, I see you. Keep it going.
sit your hallelujah. Girl, sit your hallelujah.
Oh, it's so tough.
Cause Uptown Funk gon' give it to you. Cause Uptown Funk gon' give it to you. Cause Uptown Funk gon' give it to you.
Come on!
Somebody be in the spot. Don't believe me, just watch.
Give yourselves a round of applause. I gotta give all of you pushed yourselves, right? But there was just one person that was, I could just see the effort to go above and beyond, right? And it was this person here. So thank you very much. So, that was one of the best ever. Yeah. Wow. I've got to be honest, that was really, really powerful from all of you. And it's that, but watch the room though. Whether you wanted to dance, whether you didn't want to dance, just watch the energy within the room. There's something slightly different, right? Some of the care homes that I've been lucky enough to work in, they do ass shaking handovers, okay? Lots of ass shaking within the home, but whatever it is, right? When you get into your body like that, right? Notice how lots of you sat down. Lots of you sat down like this. Right? It changes the connection between the mind and body. And even if you were just laughing at other people dancing, you feel better. Yes or yes? Yes. Fantastic. Now, I wanted to really open up now the idea that when we operate with this mindset, amazing things happen within the care sector. And as I said, I really want to open up that inspiration of this is the sector to work in. So I just got a couple of videos here showing, it's all well and good me standing here telling you, right? But I wanted to show you some of the amazing team members that I've come across. This was at one of the Hallmark Empowerment Days. Take a look at this.
So I'm just here having a good time on stage. Many of you might have certain perceptions of the care sector and the care industry and what goes on in care homes and the type of people that work there. I've got first-hand experience, they're amazing people, and I just want to show you the level of energy that the care workers in this industry have got, and in particular at Hallmark. Here we go.
So there's so much inspiration within the team that there's so much energy, it's almost like they want to rave and come together with this energy and then channel that energy into whatever role they have within the team to providing this amazing quality of life. Pretty much every single one of you said you want to have a positive impact. This is an amazing avenue for that to happen. And it's nice said that there's so much variety, right? Even in my work within the sector, there's so much variety. You can be given a sensible team building talk, and all of a sudden a large fancy dressed blue cow may walk in. So the reason why I'm showing you this is because this is in a care home, okay? This was actually in a care home, and during this event, this training I delivered, one of the residents actually was walking past, was dancing in the doorway, and in they came. So it's a beautiful, positive impact available in so many different ways. This was Banstead Manor. This was before the residents arrived at the home, before it opened. And yeah, well, you can see just from the still there. Let's have a look.
Say yes! Yes! Are the residents going to have an amazing quality of life? Yes! Celebrate one more time! Yes!
You guys, I was gonna say you guys are amazing, something like that, right? Now, this one is my. I want you to keep her out for this lady here in the red. This one's my favourite because when I arrived, I think they had been doing certain trainings that they have to do, if that makes sense. And then this was a bit of a surprise and just a personal gift from Hallmark in terms of developing their mindset as well. And they'd had a tough, challenging couple of days, but keep an eye out for the lady in the red there.
Guys, did you enjoy today? How do you feel? How do you feel? Would you recommend the session with Jermaine?
I think she said jazz hands, right? And yeah, that's firewalking, wow, yeah. Now the reason that you don't need to read these, but I put these in because it reminded me of the amazing variety available in the sector. So this was a firewalk we did. This was Mitesh, a testimonial. They enjoyed it from Precious Care Homes. But then you can see here we've got care assistant, we've got head chef, we've got care assistant, head of practice, clinical lead. We'll come back to the cute baby. We'll come back to the cute baby. Now, they were all saying amazing things about the positive, inspirational days that we put on. Now, my thought is they weren't saying it because I'm so great, okay? They weren't saying it, Hallmark is great, of course, but really, it was the greatness within them that has the permission to be released in the care sector. So what I would suggest is every single one of you has got greatness within you. And my invitation would be to explore the idea of releasing that in the care sector, because you're going to have the opportunity to release it in so many different ways and make the biggest impact. Now, part of the reason I'm here today as well is to share with you one or two insights in overcoming challenges along the way. Now, that is where the cute baby comes in. That is my son. You met my daughter. That's my son, Fraser James Harris. He was 3 weeks old when that photo was taken. Now, the day after that photo was taken, the doctors diagnosed Fraser with something called cystic fibrosis. Now, we've just met, right? And you felt that with me, okay? Now, for those of you that don't know, cystic fibrosis is a life-shortening condition. He takes 50 tablets per day, and he's got to do lung-clearing physiotherapy every day as well. Now, of course, that's a challenge of life. But I'm going to come back to Fraser in a moment because he helps me share the positive mindset available even in the face of challenge. So I'll come back to Fraser in a moment. This is Fraser today. No. Right? That is, of course, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. And, you know, if he's telling the truth with his body there, looks pretty confident, yeah? Pretty sure of himself. Yeah, handsome, okay. What about The Rock? Now, The Rock there is showing the first part of what I call the empowerment triangle. The empowerment triangle. Now, the empowerment triangle is body, self-talk, and mind images. So if I take you back to that moment when Fraser was first diagnosed, probably one of the most negative moments in my life, what happened to my body? I collapsed in the chair, shoulders down, head down. What happened to my self-talk? Why him? Why us? Life's not fair. He's not going to make it. He's going to need a lung transplant before he's 20. All this stuff. Mind images, I was visualizing us in hospital, Fraser hooked up to all the wires and machines, and of course I felt awful. Now, when you go through a challenging time, it's of course very important not to bottle it up and talk through these challenging feelings. We were very lucky in Cardiff. At the hospital, they had a therapist on hand where we could talk through these challenging feelings. However, what I realized was that I was living my life like this as the weeks and months went on. Why him? Why us? Life's not fair. But after doing this work for so long, I instinctively the one day just stood up, chest up, shoulders back, head up. So my body changed. And already I looked different. And I changed the self-talk with a question. No, Jermaine, what are you going to do? How can you be an inspirational father and leader in Fraser's life and show him that he can overcome challenges and live a long, healthy life? Then with the mind images, I would visualize us running around, doing all his physiotherapy, successfully clearing his lungs, and him living an amazing long life. And of course, I felt better. So I want to do an experiment with you guys now. Now let's see if you can beat the first time, right? It was a lot of effort, I get it. It's going to be the last time you're going to have to stand up, okay, guys? So I'm going to ask you to stand up in the same way again. Okay, then we'll do a little experiment. But let's see if you're prepared to push yourself. So I feel like you are the amazing people that are ready to go to another level. Some of you are creating space again. I like it. Good. So we're going to go bigger, bolder, louder. And remember, person B. As close to person B as your personality type will allow. Please stand up. Good job, guys. Good job. Stay standing, stay standing, stay standing. Stay standing. Now, I want you to stand like The Rock. Stand like your favorite superhero, Wonder Woman, Superman. Shoulders back, chest up, head up. That's it. That's it. Shoulders back, chest up, head up. My goodness me, it's like the Avengers assemble. Okay. That's it. Stay in that body. Shoulders back, chest up, head up. Okay, good. Now we can change the self-talk with a question or two. Shh. Inside your mind, answer the question, what is great about you? Your mind knows that you're a great friend, you're funny, you're caring. That's it. Stay in that body. Good job. You start to smile as you realize these things about yourself are true. Now on the screen of your mind, it may help to close your eyes. I want you to picture the person or people you love the most and see them smiling with you. Yeah, maybe even laughing with you, yes. Stay in that body, stay in that body. Now let's try something. Say yes. Yes. Say yes. Yes. Say yes. Yes. Say no. See, it comes from somewhere else, doesn't it? The toddler brain doesn't want to go there. One more time. Say yes. 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 Give yourselves a round of applause. Have a seat. Have a seat. Have a seat, guys. Thank you. Now watch. Watch. Perhaps you haven't seen many people in your life approach their problems like that, yes? But you imagine, if you put yourself in that state of mind and body when you're facing a challenge, you're like, move, I got this. Because you've got that energy within you. Now, Fraser's 7 now, and we've been teaching him this since he was old enough to understand. So Fraser now could be looking as pale as this part of the wall here. He's 7. Could be not making it to school, not making it outside to do the things that he loves, really struggling every day. But I'm proud to say that this was Fraser on BBC News last year. Take a look at this.
We've been proud of him, since day one. I mean, he's always had an amazing positive mindset, and then golf is just like the cherry on the cake. Oh, baby. What it does, it affects the salt channels, so it can actually then produce really thick mucus, both in the lungs usually, and then throughout all the other organs in the body as well. So he takes 50 tablets a day.
I said to Dad, I really want to qualify for World Championships and be Major Pound Green net.
With the cystic fibrosis, we literally didn't leave the house, didn't want to touch anything, didn't know how dangerous the virus could be, so we weren't even going for walks. So it was great for his physical activity. Then as soon as golf courses were one of the first things to open up, which was great. And then I'll never forget it, took him on the course, and I was just amazed. He was flying it down the fairway, putting it on the green, rolling it in the hole. And it was just a dream to see him out there having fun.
Great shot.
This was first place on the British Junior Golf Tournament.
And what competition was it that you won?
A Masters, and this one was the Qualified Championship trophy.
So Fraser actually joined the tour after 2 events had already taken place. So it looked like you would literally have to win all 5 events to qualify. And luckily he did. He was diagnosed at 3 weeks old. The amazing things that he does. He's always had an amazing positive mindset. And then golf is just like the cherry on the cake. We're proud of him regardless. But to do everything he does and do the things he's doing in golf as well, it's just so proud from myself, his mum Katie, all his grandparents, everyone. Excited, Fraser?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to about it?
Winning it.
Oh, thank you. So the reason why I include Fraser in there, because he's a beautiful living, breathing example of how we can succeed in our goals whilst facing challenges and overcoming obstacles along the way. Because just like Fraser, so people said to us, you're not going to be able to find the funds and the sponsors and that type of thing. There's been a pandemic. You're not going to be able to go to America. You won't make it to the World Championships. In the same way, people are going to say to you, you haven't got what it takes to work in care. What do you mean you've got this dream to be general manager of a care home? People like you, no one in our family's ever been a nurse. You're going to hear these things, sometimes from people with love, right? They say you can't do things. And people are saying, Fraser's not going to be able to go to the World Championships. There's Fraser at the World Championships, and he was lucky enough to represent Wales, which was truly incredible. Now, what I love about this story is course, we'd love to build up to this beautiful Disney happy ending that he won the World Championships. But actually, the roller coaster of life continues, and you have to continue to overcome challenges and keep going. Keywords, keep going. Because you can. Now, Fraser actually really struggled in the heat in America. It was 105 degrees with 90% humidity. His body, through the cystic fibrosis, was losing a lot of salt, and he really struggled. So I said to him, Fraser, you know, if you want to, you can have some weeks off, some months off, you know, let's have some time off golf. He looked at me like I was crazy. He said, no, Dad, I want to go back. I'm going to be one of the youngest in the British Championships, and I'm going to come in the top 5, because he thought the top 5 gets a trophy. It turned out that only the top 3 got a trophy. There's Fraser, second place in the British Championships. And just like you guys will, he's been really persistent, and he's been keeping going. He's kept going, he's kept going, he's kept going. He's held on to his dreams and visions and kept going. So when I told him that I share these stories and I talk about his success and how amazing he's been, he said, Dad, in that video, it says I've won 11 trophies. I've actually won 37. So I had to... I had to amend the presentation just to make sure he didn't have a go at me, okay? Now, the beautiful thing about bringing this full circle is when you operate within the care sector, you meet amazing people within the care sector, then you realize how truly supportive they are. And I make no bones about expressing my gratitude to Avnish and Anita, the foundation, and indeed Fraser's headline sponsor, Hallmark Care Homes. You see, we've got a round of applause for that, guys. Come on. So I thought it would be useful for me to share this. I've got one demonstration to show you before I finish, but I really wanted to share with you, it's what you say to yourself over and over and over again that will define the quality of your mindset. So it's not magic that Fraser is in the top 1% of 7-year-olds in the world thriving with cystic fibrosis. He's one of the best 7-year-old golfers, he's the best 7-year-old golfer in Europe, thriving with cystic fibrosis. But from the age of pretty much 3, we've been doing what he calls his power moves. Take a look at this.
Say, I am powerful.
I am powerful.
Say, I am healthy.
I am healthy.
I am beautiful.
I am beautiful.
I love me.
I love me.
Good boy. Say yes.
Yes.
Say yes.
Yes.
Say yes. Good boy. Let's have a great day.
So we do that every day, twice a day. If I'm on the road, we do it over video call. And it's that repetition. If we just did that once, it would make no difference. But we've been doing it twice a day, every day for 4 years. And we were in the hospital in 2019. Fraser had grown one of the dangerous bacteria in his lungs. I cried in front of him for the first time because I thought it was going to scar his lungs. And I just felt this little tug on my jacket. And he said, no, Daddy, it's okay, because I am strong. So you can see, through the repetition, his mind knew where to go, and he did indeed fight off that infection, and there was no scarring on the lungs. So my invitation to you today, and in fact, I'm going to ask you now, with the people next to you, what positive, powerful things could you say to yourself every single day? Please begin, guys.
Change my life completely.
Okay, guys, please pause there, please pause there. Give your partner a high five, say you can do it. Now, Now, this is all great, right? And we put ourselves in this strong state of mind and body. But as we know, from where you are now, the qualifications you want to get, the goals you want to achieve, there's going to be some challenges that you're going to have to overcome. Okay? Now, sometimes the best course of action is not to dance around, not to go too crazy. You should be very present in the moment. How many of you have heard of something called mindfulness? Oh, wow, okay, lots of us. So, let's say that my challenge, my goal, was to safely walk across this broken glass barefoot. Okay? Now, you can probably tell by the sound that it is real broken glass, and you can imagine, if that was my goal, what my mind might start to do. Okay? Now, so I'm going to need you to be as quiet as you possibly, as the phones rise up. I'm going to need you to be as quiet as you possibly can, just so I can concentrate. So you can imagine, we talked about that empowerment triangle. You can imagine what pictures my mind might be creating. You can imagine what self-talk could be arriving. I'm not going to give you examples, so I don't even want to put it out there. So as with every challenge that you guys are going to face, right? Do you know what? I am going to go for that career in social care. It's all about that first step and being aware that when you're present, when you pay attention, you can overcome any challenge. So you take that first step. Most of my weight is on my right side now. When you pay attention, if I put my weight down on my left side right now, it wouldn't be great, if you know what I mean. So just like you guys will in life, you'll readjust. You'll pay attention. And then eventually, you can achieve your goal. You can clap if you want, that's okay. So, just while I wrap that up, with the people next to you, I just want you to talk about one thought or idea that you've had through having this short conversation with me today. Please begin, guys. Okay, guys, please pause there. Please pause there. Give your partner a high five. Say, you're awesome. Now, I said it at the beginning, but now I truly believe it. Whether it be my mother, my father, or indeed myself, I'd be privileged for us to be cared for by a team that contained you guys. So please remember, and I truly believe it in my heart, that you can care. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, to me, what can I say? You did it again. You did it again. He always does it. Every time. I mean, I think I think I see your workshops about once a month now, and every time I am in your workshop, I'm really in your workshop, it just lifts me to, my energy levels just increase, and I keep that going in my life. But do hire Jermaine to come to your school and deliver these workshops, because I'm sure that you guys have got so much value from this today, right? Yeah? When you like all your friends and all your other people in your year group and your school to experience Jermaine's workshop. Yeah, why not? It's a great gift that your teachers, your school leaders, your head teachers can give to you guys all. So please do go back and tell everyone else about this workshop. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jermaine. Let's hear it for Jermaine once again.
Thank you, guys.
Wow, one afternoon. I did tell you there was a nice surprise at the end, those people that I did manage to speak to. It's always inspiring having you here, Jermaine, with us. Join us on this amazing, magnificent journey of our social care journey. So we hope that today's event has given you lots to think about and encouraged you to pursue a career in social care, whether it's as a carer, nurse, or in IT, catering, gardening, or even management. There really is a job for everyone. So let's now know if we can work with your school. Please do let us know in many ways with the personal development workshops with Jermaine, Mind of the Student, and there's so much more that we offer, as well as maybe coming into your school and talking more about social care. I'm sure Nai will support me on that with his team. But now for the results for the best tweet for the day, and there's £100 in this envelope altogether. Right, we do have a winner, and on the screen, the winner will be announced. Ta-da! This is from Princess. Is there a Princess in the audience? Princess, wow, £100, please come. Avnish, can you come up on stage, please, to present the award? Come on, Princess. This is your winning tweet. Absolutely amazing discussion with Ed Balls, changed my whole perspective on social care. And if it wasn't for Avnish, can I just honour Avnish in this? It's true, together. Honestly, this event would not be possible if it wasn't for Avnish Star. Thank you. Thank you, Princess. Come up. Well done, thank you. There you go, it's a new award.
Thank you.
Oh, great, thank you. Thank you very much, Princess. Wow, thank you. And finally, our thanks to you for attending and joining also by live streaming. Thank you to everyone who has made this conference possible. Our partners, Working Options in Education, that's Maria, Claire, Susanna and Sue, and I want to give a special thanks. If Stephen Burke, can you come up on stage please, with the flowers for Maria. Thank you so much. Without you, we wouldn't have had this amazing event. Thank you very, very much. All the sponsors, as I mentioned before, Avnish Care, Precious Homes, Regent College London, Sahara Care and Hemraj Goyal Foundation as well. And the exhibitors for their time and all the speakers and performers today. The venue and team here at the Royal College of General Practitioners and all our colleagues at Hallmark, that's Stephen, Martin, Elizabeth, Christine, Julie, Nai and Avnish. Thank you so much for all your support in making this all happen. So,
and before she says, have a safe journey and go home, then thank you. I'd just like to say a few words, because actually it's not me that's made this happen, it's you, Anita. The vision that you had to put this Care Careers Conference on, you had that idea, you planted that everywhere, working with Steve and the rest of the team, and so we have some flowers for you too.
Oh, thank you.
So well done.
Anita really has been the inspiration behind this. She said, about 18 months ago, she said, we've got to do this, and we've done it. Well done, Anita.
We've done it, yeah, thank you.
So well done. So,
thank you guys, thank you.
So please, as I said, spread the word. Let's get people like Jermaine into your schools and make sure, I assume this is going to go to Leicester now, because Liz Kendall said let's go to Leicester, and then next year let's make that bigger and better. And hopefully you'll take a career in social care, whatever career you take, we wish you all the very best in your future. And please keep in touch. And again, a huge thank you. And shall I say have a safe journey home? And
yeah, you can say that, absolutely.
Or you want to say last?
Okay. And finally, thank you to you all, and have a very safe journey home. And hopefully see you in the very near future. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.